ba-doop. Hold her. I'm afraid she's going to jump.
I got her.
All right.
Order in the court. Thank you. Now, all rise. The Court of Public Opinion is now in session. The Honorable Chief Justice Kristen and Associate Justice Austin presiding. Now calling to trial the multiverse's most controversial social debate topics. They shall be resolved once and for all. You may be seated.
Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion podcast, where
we've got a witch dog.
Ooh, it's the spoopy
Instead
season.
Of a witch doctor, we got a witch dog.
Happy Halloween,
Happy
everybody!
I am your Chief Justice, Kristen.
And I am your Associate Justice, Austin.
And this is Molly the Witch.
This is our plaintiff, bailiff.
She could be our bailiff.
Okay, this is our bailiff, our secondary bailiff, because Gerard Marquez is our original bailiff. You might have heard his voice at the beginning of the episode, but this is our bailiff number 2, Molly. She is our pupper. She is wearing a witch hat, and she is God.
She is fabulosa. Okay, she wants to go.
She wants to go. Okay, bye, Molly. I'll pick you up.
Bye, baby.
Okay.
All right, what's going on? Well, as you might see, some things are going on this week.
Yes. If you're watching the YouTube video, you can tell that our whole situation has changed extremely drastically because California is on fire, y'all. And
specifically, Orange County is on fire.
Specifically, basically right by my home. So this morning, I went to work. And it was super, super windy. And I was like, dang, 2020 is crazy. Look at all that wind. And then I'm looking at all the updates with the fire in Irvine. And it's getting close to all the people in Irvine. And I was like, whew, I'm glad I don't live down there. And then my roommates are texting me like, hey, dude, we need to get our stuff and go. And I'm like, what are you talking about? All I'm saying are news articles about this fire in Irvine. It's nowhere close to us. And then they were like, no. There's another fire, and it's right over the hill. So I left work early, packed up literally all my things.
And now we're sitting in my dining room, and Austin's entire office is set up on my dining room table, and the kitchen is right there, and I'm having wine because it's been a day.
Cheers, my friend. Cheers, my love. Clink.
Oh, that was a good one. Necessary.
ASMR right there. So yeah, and because of the rapid change of plans, this here behind us, this little string of bats and pumpkins is our only Halloween decoration. Because originally I had planned to make my room into a Halloween wonderland, but it didn't pan out because shit's on fire, yo.
His room may or may not be there now.
So, that all being said, my heart goes out to anybody affected by the fires, and I'm realizing how much more real everything is now, because we had talked about the fires going on in Northern California earlier this year, and my level of appreciation for how this affects everybody has really gotten a lot more sincere and real, and I can't emphasize how stressful it is to feel like your home might get burned down.
I kept saying earlier because I knew you lived in a pretty big burn area, and I knew that I was moving into kind of an area that dealt with fires before, but it's all exacerbated by COVID. Like, people can't go to the normal places you would go to evacuate, and like there are restrictions on how many people can be in places, so it's a holy mess. And it's very stressful. And thank you to all of the first responders who are dealing with that now, because it's still like 0% contained. So they're going to be working
all night.
All night.
Hopefully
tomorrow.
The winds die down soon because, by the time you're hearing this, they will be. But here's hoping they die down quickly so they can get air support in and put out these fires. And yeah.
Now that we've depressed everybody, what else is new?
What else is going on?
We had a weekend kind of apart.
Yeah, but before all of this fire nonsense, we had our first weekend apart in many, many months, actually.
Probably since like March.
Yeah. And so I went down to Oceanside to visit my stepsister who was coming down from Northern California, spent some time with her and her daughters. It was really nice to see you. So shout out Jessica if you're listening. Thank you for a fun little one-night getaway and for some good brunch. It was a good time.
I saw my brother. He came from Arizona, which is a far drive, and it was fun to hang out. We went to see a $5 movie, and there was nobody else in there but us and like two other
Kristen,
people.
what movie did you see?
I saw The Nightmare Before Christmas because it was $5.
And what season
Want to
is
know
it?
why it's discounted? Because it's not a Halloween movie.
Oh, because that's why. Not because it's COVID. And because that's like the very early option that they had for theaters opening up again, right?
They have new movies out.
Oh, shows how often I go to movies ever, period. But especially
so basically what happened was we
what
bought these
happened was.
$5 movie tickets because we didn't know what else to do because everything else is closed. And so we went, but we snuck in all of our snacks because who wants to pay for it at the movie? Even though like you can buy them ahead of time and they give you like a really steep discount because they don't want to have anything to do with you. They just want you to like go into the movie theater and not talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But we were like, it's going to be like old times. We're going to pretend we're poor again and like buy $1 snacks at Target and sneak them in. And I rolled them up in this sweatshirt and rolled them up, put it in my
purse.
purse.
Which literally just has like the single middle pocket.
Yeah, but I put some in the pocket, I rolled it, and then I put some in the hood, and I rolled it. And so like my purse was large, and if I like walked a certain way, it would, rattle because I had some jelly beans in there and my brother had some Twizzler bits.
Literally the worst drug smuggler ever.
Well,
clanking.
I'll have you know, nobody pulled me over for it when I walked into the movie theater.
That's good. You're going to hear about somebody being pulled over later on today. Spoilers.
And our last little week update is that Molly has a costume for every day this week, and you just saw the first one, which was her little witch hat.
I think she's one of the Sandersons. She's the fourth Sanderson sister.
She fits in very well.
Molly Sanderson.
I
know you've never heard of her.
I don't know where she is.
She is the most powerful Sanderson sister.
Hopefully she's not taking a dookie on my bed or anything.
Molly, no dookies. I don't know where she's at. She's going to haunt us. She's already put on her second costume. The ghosty costume.
Here she comes. Hi! I heard her jump down.
Oh, because she was on your bed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said, here she comes before we even knew she was coming.
Yay.
Okay.
Those are all of our weekly updates.
I think we're
still figuring out the week as it goes.
It's Monday, and already I've had Austin move in with me this week. It was a big step in our relationship, and it was totally involuntary.
Love how it had to be thrust upon me by fire.
Welcome.
Thanks 2020.
Hey,
I'm
it's
happy
a joy
to be here.
Live with me.
You know I'm happy to be
roommate.
here.
I just made you dinner. I cleaned the dishes on time. I'm doing your laundry. Wow. I am a delight to live with. Ask any of my former roommates. I'm currently alternating
between roommates?
Between wine and ginger ale, and it's not a bad combo.
No?
That's going to make me sound really weird to all of you.
Give that a try?
Like it's complimentary.
Okay. I think wine after ginger ale wasn't great, but ginger ale after wine was.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, good.
Wine, then ginger ale.
Solid.
You guys are welcome for that. That is
Sauvignon Blanc?
Sauv Blanc, and we were inspired because we told you guys that we're obsessed with Selling Sunset, and Mary always orders a Sauv Blanc at the bar. And I was like, I don't think I've ever had that before.
I was under the impression we had a different kind of inspiration given the nature of our episode. If we're doing paranormal and true crime...
That's why we drink.
That's why we drink.
We listened to a podcast called And That's Why We Drink.
So, shout out to Christine and M, who probably will never hear this, but if they did, hey y'all, what's up? We love your podcast. Y'all. Anyways.
He's gonna fangirl first.
We're both team wine today. Next.
I'm team ginger ale.
Okay. Player 3 enters the game. Well, let's get into our next segment, the Court of Appeals, where listeners like you send us messages to our email at copopod@gmail.com, sending us updates about our past debates. Let's hear what one of our listeners has to say. Who sent us an email this week, Kristen?
The first one comes right out of my brain.
Awesome.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So updates from you guys or us or our
This
brains.
one is super important, though.
Okay.
Guys, throwback to way in the beginning, like July 4th beginning.
The 4th of July.
The breakfast debate.
America's best holiday.
I have confirmation or further confirmation, because shout out to Geoff for sending us that email a couple weeks ago, that I was right.
Okay, well.
Further than
Never
Dan
mind.
Cummins himself. So the guys over at Good Mythical Morning, they have agreed with me on multiple occasions. For example, the video Breakfast-Defying Dinner Foods and Dinner-ifying...
Dinner feuds?
Shut up. And Dinner-ifying Breakfast Foods, where they basically take like dinner, things that should be dinner, and like add eggs or pancakes to it and make it breakfast.
Okay.
And then they did a Putting Weird Things in a Pasta Maker episode where they made breakfast pasta. And what was breakfast pasta based off of? Putting cereal and eggs into a pasta maker.
Yeah, I believe the thing that Link said was...
Wait, I'm getting there.
Oh, you are?
And they had a Will It Breakfast Burrito episode where they said that the thing that makes a breakfast burrito is eggs, which is a breakfast food. And that's like a just add eggs argument, if you will. So your idol and my idols both confirmed my argument.
Drives the point home. Anything plus eggs equals breakfast.
I win.
With the caveat that it is not cooked into it, because not all baked goods, if you bake an egg into it, then it's not. They have to be separate. Is
The
my point.
point is, I win, and
we have breakfast afternoon all the time. So
I can't have most breakfast foods
yeah,
because I'm
everything's
allergic
changed.
to eggs.
The Fire Nation attacked.
Fire festival.
Oh God.
Okay, well, you said we got an email, so why don't you tell us about the email?
Oh yeah, we have we have an email from the one, the only, the Frankie. He sent us another sandwich debate update, and in his email, Frankie says, "Hi, Kristen and Austin. After seeing the sandwich photo you were tagged in during the Nightmare Before Christmas episode last week, I was immediately reminded of this kind of sandwich-related post from a work Slack group." I don't know what that is.
It's like a group chat. It's like GroupMe.
Is that like when I worked at Disneyland and then we had like a Facebook page that was like shift-related and then not shift-related?
This is a random knowledge fact I have, but the Good Mythical Morning crew uses Slack to do group chats because not everybody has each other's phone number. So it's literally like...
Oh, it's its own app.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So anyway, Frankie's work Slack group, and he thought that we'd get a kick out of it. But this is not his post. The post he's referring to says, "I would argue that in the limit, a sandwich is indistinguishable from a soup. A sandwich may be produced by cutting a portion of bread in half and introducing a non-arranged filling element between the halves. If we take each half of the bread and slice it in half again, and introduce another section of filling element, we now have a multi-sandwich of degree 4.
What?
Repeating this process allows you to generate multi-sandwiches of larger and larger degree, but with thinner and thinner pieces of bread. Indeed, if we apply this method an infinite number of times, each section of the bread is... Oh my God. This just got existential. Okay, if we apply this method to an infinite number of times, each section of the bread is a limit point of the filling element, and we have created a food that is identical in structure to a filling element with bread particles mixed in, which is classified as a soup." What? Okay. And so Frankie then goes on to say, "I guess this means the real question is not whether a hot dog is a sandwich, but is a sandwich a soup? Since you've already done a sandwich debate, another idea is chili a soup?" And
Yeah, let's do it.
hell yeah. Thank you. And he says, "Thanks for all the great content." Thank you, Frankie, for engaging with us. And thank you for half confusing me and half making me irrationally upset, because sandwiches aren't soups. I mean, based on this
bread
argument...
bowl is a sandwich.
What?
A bread bowl?
I thought you said a Red Bull.
You need to clear out your listening holes.
My listening holes aren't working. I mean, they're working just as hard as they normally do. I guess that kind of makes sense, though. He applied mathematical logic.
Wouldn't it just make it a salad?
We need to look more into the definition of a soup. And I'm sure we're going to get to that when we talk
liquid.
about is chili a soup. So, Frankie, we'll check back in with you and listeners. Start debating about it now and send us your input because we want to know what you think about sandwiches being soups.
All right, well, now that's going to bother you tonight.
Yeah, I'm not able to sleep.
Get the energy of our argument environment going.
Hell
What
yeah.
candle are we burning today in our new office?
Today, in our new office, Kristen, we're going back to the Mylumina Ardent Rose Jasmine candle. This candle, a love pink candle, was made for you to generate your internal and external passions. The scent is rose and jasmine. Rose to inspire new hope, balance, and new beginning. Jasmine to amplify love and its purities. The candle has an amethyst stone is in it, which is associated with the crown chakra, or chakra, to help clear out those negative thoughts. The candle also has rose flakes in it to help amplify the energy from the amethyst and evoke the power of its protection.
Not to trigger you or anything, but let's burn it.
Oh, fuck. There's a fire. There it is. There we go.
All right.
It's contained 100%, unlike those fires are right now.
Take a sip.
Awkward.
I am going to throw it to the disclaimer so we can get into what we're doing.
Oh, yes, please.
So, everybody, if you don't already know, this is an intentionally argumentative podcast. We choose to take opposing sides of an argument for the sake of entertainment, whether or not our personal values align with it. The Court of Public Opinion podcast and its hosts do not necessarily endorse the views expressed in this program. Please do not pass judgment on our individual character based on our arguments. We are here to have unnecessary tension to Why? This is a healthy relationship and the tension is necessary or we'll fight every day. This is our weekly fight. And it's here for your entertainment. You're welcome.
You're welcome, everybody.
All right. Austin, what are we arguing today?
Oh boy, guys. Okay. We've got a great episode for you guys in honor of the spookiest day of the year, Hallows Eve, All Hallows Eve. We are bringing on the Great Haunted Debate.
Heck yeah. That's right, folks. We are bringing to you a not so age-old question, also not really a question at all, but it's very intriguing nonetheless. Which is spookier, true crime or paranormal stuff? In other words, that means what gets you more, murders and scary clowns or possessed dolls and demons in the walls?
Nice. That was solid. Well, Kristen, where did this argument originate, aside from our own brain holes?
Well, that's pretty much exactly where it originated. This isn't an actual, explicit internet debate. I didn't actually find any articles that put the two against each other. I think because people who are obsessed with one are also obsessed with the other, generally. But it has a lot to do with all of us here at the Court of Public Opinion. A lot of our peanuts are time suck transplants, aka people who love crime and spooky shit.
Hell yeah, guys.
It just seems that people nowadays love their true crime podcasts and documentaries. We have those crazy popular podcasts like My Favorite Murder, Small Town Murder, and That's Why We Drink, Time Suck, where all of you came from. We have an absurd number of Netflix documentaries and docuseries. I don't have to list them, but Unsolved Mysteries.
So I thought you were just going to go into a list anyway.
We haven't started that one yet, but I keep trying to tell them we should. And for goodness sake, I went to law school after working on a serial killer cold case. I can't tell you which one, but it happened. So for whatever reason, I love that shit.
I know which one it is.
Keep your mouth shut.
I'm not allowed to tell you. But I know.
But it's also well documented that people love the unexplainable, read supernatural, and spooky shit. People have been obsessed with witchcraft and satanic cult stuff since basically the beginning of time.
Especially in the 80s.
It's in the Bible and shit. I don't know. It's not, but
I would have been convinced. I don't know what's in the Bible.
Whatever. So while it's not the most well-known topic of discussion, we thought we'd debate about it and bring it to you during spooky season. So let's talk about some lore, Austin. Let's get this party started with arguments about why we think our topic is the most spooky.
Hell yeah. Would you like to go first?
It's a very short argument, but I'm going to back it up.
Back it up.
Good day, Your Honors. We don't have a timer, and I don't need one because this is going to be very short. But good day, Your Honors, and may it please the court. Kristen, on behalf of Paranormal is the spookiest shit ever. All I have to say is that, yeah, true crime is scary and all, but I'm like obsessed with it, so it's not that scary. And obviously, I love that shit, but let's be clear. Paranormal shit is way scarier. Like, way scarier. It just doesn't make any sense. There's a reason the Conjuring series have done so well in the box office, especially when compared to slasher movies or movies about true crime and shit. I keep saying shit.
Shit, yeah.
We all have a gross obsession with true crime nowadays. Like I just said, listening to Time Sucks, Small Town Murder, My Favorite Murder, blah, 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 murder. But people's obsession with paranormal stuff is way deeper. Throwback to the Salem witch trials. People were really into their witchcraft and shit back in the day, and people's obsession with the satanic cult and satanic panic times. They blamed all of the crimes on satanic panic, right?
Does that make it pseudo true crime?
That makes them think that they can explain crime by saying there was some sort of paranormal element to it. So it both interests you and terrifies you. I don't even have to get into the whole urban legends thing, do I? Because like that stupid maze we went to last week sucked.
Yeah.
But they were trying to conjure the spirit of Bloody Mary, and it was very clearly an actress.
You got me. You got me.
One thing is true. A lot of paranormal stuff springs from true crime stuff, like the Amityville Horror and the Lizzie Borden house and all of that. But the paranormal part of it brings us in after the fact for a reason. We like haunted AF, spooky AF, and, you know, people like to push boundaries and go places that might be haunted and maybe get possessed and, you know, like risk your lives and shit. You know.
I know.
Okay. He knows because experiences. Why do you think American Horror Story does so well? Especially the two best seasons, Murder House and Cult.
The Cult?
Not Cult. Coven.
That's what I thought.
C-words. They're both based on paranormal shit, and we love it.
Yes, we do.
The two best seasons, by far. A house on a demon portal and a story about witches. All female witches. Bomb story. We love that shit.
And Stevie Nicks shows up for a bit.
Yeah. She's the white witch. She's great. I can give you all the arguments in the world, but I think my case is going to be better made through an example. So I've brought you some evidence that I'll get to after your argument. I'm going to tell you a little story about my friend Harold the doll.
Oh, good. I can't wait for that. Well, my argument, good day, Your Honors, may it please the court, Austin Andrade on behalf of true crime is spookier because it's actually true. That's the thing.
But you can explain it.
True crime is freaky because there's fucking crazy people in the world who are out there to kill you.
Arguably
so lock your
possessed by
doors,
demons.
Lock your windows, hide your husband, hide your wife, because they're coming out there to stab you and cut your entrails out. I went into a Mental Floss article.
And we know how credible Mental Floss is.
It's like a soothing, minty string for your brain. And they provide 12 reasons why we love true crime. To start, we love it because it's normal to a point. So a lot of people who are relatively new to the true crime scene, they might feel, oh, is it okay for me to be into something that's so macabre, or dark? And why do I have this fascination for, people who are bad? Well, it's completely normal. According to Dr. Michael Mantell, former chief psychologist of the San Diego Police Department, told NPR in 2009, there's nothing weird about being true crime obsessed. It says that we are normal and we are healthy. I think our interest in true crime serves... He's a former chief psychologist. He says, I think our interest in crime serves a number of different healthy psychological purposes.
Until you act out on it.
He goes on to say...
Or until you are possessed by a demon and driven to kill. Based on your obsession with true crime.
Dr. Michael Mantell went on to say, if all you do is read about crime and all you do is talk about it and you have posters of it and you have a newspaper article clippings in your desk drawer, then I'd be concerned.
Low key, that's Austin.
I might make Google Docs.
This is literally all he talks about.
You're not wrong. That is basically all I've been talking about for the past, 2.5 years? But anyway.
2.5. I've only known you for one-ish. Less than.
Well, yeah, you came in late to my true crime obsession.
Well, I was obsessed with it before you were.
I don't know about this.
You want to bet? Did you work on a serial killer cold case? I don't think you did. Did you grow up with a cop for a dad who talked about murders all the time? I don't think you did.
She's got the supporting evidence, folks. She's more into true crime than I am.
And I'm the expert.
The resident expert of this podcast, period, of all things.
Correct.
Number 2, evil fascinates us.
Oh my God, this is going to take forever, and my story is very long. All right.
Well,
pick your favorites.
I'll pick my faves. Evil fascinates us. The true crime genre gives us a glimpse into the minds of people who have committed what forensic psychologist Dr. Paul Mattiozzi he calls the most fundamental taboo and perhaps most fundamental human impulse, murder. That fascination that we have in what serial killers and murderers do draws into our own psyche, and that in itself is spooky. That the concern comes from our fascination with something that we would never commit, but as Dr. Michael Mantell said, if you get too far in, you might become a killer yourself, or he'd be concerned. Another reason true crime is the best / spookiest is, especially with respect to cold cases, there's always a mystery that we're trying to solve. But in cold cases, or cases that haven't been resolved yet because they're so recent, those stories leave us open-ended. And then we're left to think, okay, what's the outcome? How did this happen? You might find a dead body on your way to the train stop tomorrow, and you'd be the beginning of an episode of CSI or NCIS or Law and Order's SVU. And so...
Oh, God, I hope not.
But then when that episode starts, you don't get to see the end of the episode until you live it. So... And that's going to take a lot longer than 45 minutes.
Is never a good idea because you're the first suspect. Every time.
So what do you do if you find a body?
You run away.
So never report a body, guys. That's what we're saying.
It's like in Among Us. If you report the body, then you're expected to vote. But like, what if you don't know who it is?
And for those of you who don't know what Among Us is, it's a game app where you kill your friends. Yay.
You don't kill your friends. The imposter kills your friends.
And you might be the imposter.
I've only been the imposter like twice.
Isn't it fun?
No, because, well, I almost won once. I almost killed all of you. You're always my first victim.
See, it is fun to kill your friends.
No.
See, guys, when you're playing an app game, it can be fun to kill your cartoon friends.
My law school professor wants to play.
Oh, yeah?
Next game night, she wants to do Among Us.
Sweet.
So I saw a meme that was like, Among Us is the best like characterization of the justice system in America, of like innocent until proven guilty, and people just start throwing each other under the bus.
Fantastic.
I was like, that's depressing.
But particularly thinking about law students and applying like legality to their arguments as to, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, man. And as you can clearly see, it represented in Article B/A12.
Article B?
Yeah. This is how I can prove that I wasn't in that room when you claimed that I was.
Article B of what?
Of the Constitution of Among Us.
But
you get it.
Numbers.
No? Article 12?
That's a
Section...
really long constitution.
Section Alpha? Okay. Another reason why true crime is spookier.
I disagree with it helps us feel prepared, because I'm just reading your non-arguments now, because most of the time, at least with like the serial killers that I hear about, it's very like unavoidable.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just going to happen. There is no preparation.
Precisely. That's why true crime is scary, because it makes us think
You have an
about the
argument
potential.
that says it makes us feel prepared.
No, this is just notes from an article that I happened to read.
Okay, and you think you can prepare for being possessed by a demon?
I think you can set yourself into a mental space.
You absolutely cannot.
No?
No.
I think I can.
You don't know anything about this stuff, do you?
I have a stalwart mind soul.
You have the most easily manipulated mind.
I don't think that's the case.
How many times have I changed your mind on this podcast?
At least 7.
Maybe 16, 18,
What episode are we on?
19, 18 times. How many times has Molly changed your mind without even using words?
And how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
We'll never know because the owl bit the lollipop.
Yeah, what an asshole owl. Okay, well, I don't really have any reasons to explain why true crime is spookier, aside from the fact that it's real people. And
real people get possessed and attacked by ghosts. Literally happened to me today.
I don't know, because that could be a case of
really
of either mental illness or drug.
Really? Am I mentally ill or on drugs?
No, I don't think.
Then why could I not breathe today?
Did it have something to do with your research?
Yeah,
Okay, well maybe we should crack right into that.
I'd love to.
Because
but
instead of being a full-fledged argument this week, we're bringing you guys tales of horror and tales of true crime and murder.
I was going to, but then he interrupted me and now I'm having an attitude.
And here is our presented evidence.
All right, Peanuts. This is a scary one. They've talked about it on, I think, and That's Why We Drink. And I guess one of the listeners almost crashed their car. So, maybe don't listen to this while you're driving. Here's the story of Harold the Haunted Doll.
God, starting off strong.
It's a good way to start, huh? Here's the story. I should warn everybody in advance. Harold is known to attack people who express skepticism or make fun of him. So just don't fucking do it. We'll get into that later when I talk about experiences.
Okay.
So Harold is one of, if not the most haunted doll out there. That includes Annabelle and Robert the doll, who I'm sure all of the times people have heard about in the Robert the doll episode, because that was an early one, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is much, much worse. So Harold the doll first made his appearance on eBay. There was an original listing that claims Harold was originally purchased in a flea market in Webster, Florida. Shout out to Florida for doing this to us all the fucking time.
Florida! Why?
So according to the original eBay listing, an elderly man placed the doll in a box, and the original eBay owner was intrigued by the doll. He asked the man how much for the doll, and the man replied, "You don't want that doll." And
why are you putting it on eBay?
No, it wasn't on eBay. He was at a flea market.
Oh, okay.
This is the origin of how he ended up on eBay.
Got it.
Keep up. The old man said it belonged to his son, and that he made it seem the eBay poster made it seem like the old man was acting weird. I don't know. The original eBay owner asked how much for the doll, and the man said, "That is the question, isn't it?" Sketchy.
The fuck? No, man.
And then he told this story about how he used to keep Harold in his work shed, and that he wasn't going to bring it to the flea market that day, but he just had to get rid of it, which is sketchy. The man basically was like, $20. Give me $20. And so eBay guy was like, here's $20, and he like picked up the doll and was walking away. But the man like ran after him and was like, "I have to warn you." And then he talked about like the eerie presence that went into the house after the man's son died, because the doll belonged to his son. And he said that he and his wife would hear crying in his son's room, but when they went to check it, there was nothing there. It was just the doll. And then like other weird things started to happen where, which obviously like scared the man and his wife. So they took it to a priest, and the priest was like, "Burn that thing."
Fuck.
And so the man tried to burn it like a bunch of times, and it barely burned. And if you've seen a picture of Harold, that's why his arms and legs are worn out so badly, but the rest of him wouldn't burn. Well, obviously, eBay dude was like, "I don't really believe that." So he brought Harold home, and then 2 days later, his cat died, and his girlfriend. Yeah, and his girlfriend left him for the pool guy, whatever that means. And
his girlfriend left him for the pool guy?
Yeah.
You know what that means.
I think that was just a coincidence, but like the cat dying, sketch. But also after like 2 days of having Harold, eBay guy started to have chronic migraines. And a week later, so that was only 2 days after, but like a week later, he started hearing children laughing and crying in his basement. And when he went to go check it out, like the man said, there was nothing there.
Oh.
So eBay guy was like, I'm going to put Harold in a case and keep him in the basement. And he left him there for a year and a half. And then at that point, he was like, yo, I got to get rid of this doll.
He held on to it for a whole year and a half.
Yeah.
And the entire time,
to be
he's
a
just
thing.
hearing...
It's a thing. Everybody who
specifically
owns the doll
18 months?
keeps it for like a year or so.
What the fuck?
So... he, on his like eBay listing, he says, Harold is clearly haunted. Sometimes he would touch him and he would feel a pulse.
What's this doll made of?
I don't know. It's just a regular baby doll. But when the son died, I don't know. I don't know. We'll get into more like human-like things that the doll has.
Okay, so for now, he has a pulse.
Yeah.
Good.
So that like because this was an eBay listing, everyone's like, oh, I don't know if it's real or whatever. Also, I later found out that eBay guy's name is Greg. So
okay, Greg.
So Greg, we're not sure if his story is true or hyped for sale on eBay, but because of that eBay thing, Harold became like real early internet buzz in the early 2000s, like when the internet first started.
Yeah.
So at some point there was a video in which Harold's arm moved, and then another one where his mouth also moved and made a word, and it looked like he was saying here or Harold, so they called him Harold. It just stuck. That's why he's called Harold.
Oh, okay. So he said his own name, basically.
Yes.
Is his face like have an articulated mouth, or was it just like I was imagining like a porcelain face doll, but if its mouth moved, then oh no.
You just want to see a picture.
I guess so.
Don't look into his eyes.
Okay.
That's him.
Okay, so it's like plasticky,
his
but
face shouldn't move.
it doesn't look like it should.
No.
Okay.
You're welcome. So
Good.
Eventually the first eBay auction ended and the bidding actually reached like $700, but the winning bidder failed to pay, so Greg relisted Harold. Enter Kathy. On the second round of auctions, Kathy, Greg's brother's childhood friend, that's a mouthful, Greg's brother's childhood friend, she decided to bid on Harold in the second round. And so Greg supposedly admitted to Kathy that he faked a few of the details, but Kathy didn't care because she kind of wanted to do the exact same thing where she would capitalize on a haunted doll and sell it for a much bigger profit in a couple of months.
Oh, so Greg made a bigger deal of it in the listing? Got it. Okay.
That's what he claimed. That's what they say happened. Honestly, this is all told by Harold's current owner, and he like learned what happened through reading the eBay listings and then eventually ending up with the doll. And
you get all the way, you said 2000?
Early 2000s.
And then all the way up till now?
He still has the doll.
Bruh. Why?
I'll let you know. So, Kathy was trying to do the same thing as Greg. Kathy ended up winning Greg's auction, but she kind of found out really quickly that it probably wasn't a hoax. It's wild. So soon after she received Harold, strange shit started happening. But in the beginning, she didn't know whether Harold was causing it, or, you know, she was kind of imagining that it was happening, but she also didn't know what to do about it or how to figure that out. Eventually, and this is what I was telling you earlier, she ended up putting Harold in a closet, and instead of reselling him, she kept him for almost about a year.
What brings you to do that? Will you just forget about it? I guess we do have that like special edition pop figure that's...
Maybe, well, mine's not haunted, but maybe like there's something that attaches and they just like don't sell it.
Yeah.
So after about a year, Kathy was like, can't do it anymore. She put the doll up for adoption.
Well, the connection I was trying to make is maybe they think in a year it'll appreciate in value and they'll be able to sell it for more.
No, because you would have to keep up a whole narrative about how haunted it is for
True.
that year.
You
and
just
that just seems like
post
a lot of work.
updates.
I feel like the best way to turn around would be like keep it for not super long, and then be like, I can't fucking live with
and then
this
the more
thing.
people who own him, it'll
more haunted.
perpetuate the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this is extra weird that people are keeping him for a year.
She puts him back on eBay. And she claimed in her listing that he wasn't haunted, but he was cursed.
Better. So much better.
But she actually believed that was happening. So I'll read you Kathy's listing on eBay, the one that she posted that ended up getting it sold.
Okay.
So it says, I am the person who bought the doll from Greg. I was living in Ireland at the time. The doll did not move on its own or smell of Pampers or speak. It did, however, contribute to 2 deaths within a 6-month period and some other creepy stuff while I had it because I wanted to restore it. This doll was cursed. And while I had it, 2 people I know died within 6 months of each other under tragic circumstances, and crazy stuff used to happen in my Dublin home. When I wrapped it up and put it away, nothing happened. When it was in the house and not in the storage shed, creepy things would happen. We had a roommate who was a health nut, climbed mountains, dove, and was a very athletic guy. Harold was stored in the closet in his room. 3 months after moving in, Stephen was diagnosed with lung cancer and died a few weeks later. He had to move in with us because Ronnie, the woman who he was living with before, asked to see the doll one day when she was at my house the weekend before she went to Amsterdam for a visit. She fell down a flight of stairs while she was there and died instantly. Also,
holy shit.
One day I heard a crash coming from the bathroom. I went in there only to find that everything had fallen out of the linen closet and everything landed perfectly folded and stacked. In addition, I was on the phone with my fiance when all of a sudden I hear someone scream in the background that there was a huge brown wolf spider crawling up his back. At the exact same time, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a huge brown hairy spider, it's called a wolf spider, scurry across the living room rug and into the bathroom. 2 hours later, Rick came home and showed me the area on the back of his shirt where someone had killed the spider.
How crazy would it have been if there was like a spider in your house right now?
I'm sure there is. I have all the bugs.
But like a
here.
wolf spider on the floor.
We don't have those here.
That's what it would have been even crazier. Be like, okay, well, I guess I'm going back home to where my house is on fire. Because there's no spiders where fire is.
I'm sure this spider would be where the fire is. Just saying. Okay. Enter Anthony Quinata. Harold's current and I'm assuming last owner. Anthony is a psychic, medium, speaker, and author. Anthony came across Kathy's listing for Harold as he was planning to write a book about supposedly haunted items he found on eBay. He was going to write a book called Haunted eBay. Are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? What he was going to do was take he was going to take the items he bought and run EMF and EVP experiments and have the items read by a friend who is a psychometrist. Psychometrist? She comes back later, so remember her.
Okay.
A psychic who reads the energy of objects by holding them.
Oh, okay. So you can literally just be like, this wine has a powerful energy to it.
Right. So Anthony said he literally laughed out loud when he read Greg's original listing and saw the videos about the dolls.
He laughed in its face.
He laughed.
Oh, Anthony, why?
He placed a bid on the doll just to see what the reserve was, because I guess on eBay, if like there's a specific dollar amount they want you to pass, they put a reserve on it. I don't know. But he bid on it just to see what that dollar amount was. Okay. And so Kathy saw that and reached out to him and asked why he wanted the doll. He replied honestly that he didn't want the doll, but he wanted to see what the reserve was. So he and Kathy ended up emailing back and forth and Kathy ended up saying that she thought the doll was cursed, not haunted, which I said earlier. She explained everything that happened after she got the doll, including the thing about her 2 friends dying after coming into contact with him. And while Anthony was emailing Kathy, some dude called Strange Magic with a J emailed Anthony telling him to stop bidding on Harold because he was going to be the one to win. And Anthony did a wanna bet kind of thing and started an outright bidding war. He said he thought to himself, it probably will end up being yours, but it's going to cost you.
Wow.
So because this guy was an asshat, Anthony was like, I'm going to run up the price and make your life a living hell.
Dude.
So the entire time, Anthony and Kathy are emailing back and forth about things happening with Harold. And Anthony was like, I don't know if anything she's telling me is true. but I don't care because it's not going to be my doll to deal with, you know? And then, so long story short with the bidding war, Anthony placed a $720 bid with less than 4 minutes left, and Strange Magic ended up not countering. So
not even once.
No, they were going back and forth.
Oh,
and
okay.
Strange Magic placed like a $700 bid, and then Anthony was like, I'm going to place a $720 so that the other guy does like $740 right as the bids close. But it closes on Anthony's $720. And so Kathy emailed him right away and was like, I can let you out of the deal. Like, you don't have to take this doll. And Anthony was like,
Kathy, you're too nice.
A deal is a deal. I'm taking the doll. So he
Play
paid
stupid games, win stupid prizes, Anthony. $720?
He paid $720. And he took the doll, and he had it shipped to his house. And the mailman said, I have your fucking monster, man. Like, he thought
the mailman who had it for like no longer than a few hours.
The mailman, yeah, but he also was ordering all these haunted things. So when the mailman said that, he thought it was a different item, but then he realized it was Harold, and he was like, oh, weird. So
I'm imagining this mailman is like the same guy who drops off Anthony's mail all the time and is just like,
here's your fucking monster.
Here's your stupid Ouija board. Here's your
Can you imagine? I've never thought about like mail people in this way. Like, they have to ship people's haunted shit.
That's fun.
Fun.
Especially like estate sale items.
Right. Usually they don't ship though.
Love a haunted furniture.
Them yourself.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Good. That's good.
The initial tests of Harold proved unsuccessful. He couldn't really get any readings off of him. So he decided to take Harold to his friend, like I told you about her, the psychometrist, to read the doll. But after hearing all the stories of what Harold could do to people, he decided to transport him with a crucifix and a bottle of holy water, which is probably the right move.
Because he could totally crash.
Yeah, he could just kill you. Annabelle did that to someone once. A priest, actually.
Oh.
Anyway, not that I have a weird random knowledge of things.
I mean, I don't, so keep it coming.
Dolls do to people who mess with them. Anthony's friend admitted that she'd heard some stuff about Harold because it was like wildly popular on the internet in the early 2000s. But she was going to read it anyway. So 2 minutes into the reading, she told Anthony she couldn't do the reading anymore. And he asked why, and she said, because it threatened to kill me. She said, I have a heart murmur, and the doll's spirit was grabbing my heart. It was squeezing my heart.
Oh, my God.
Anthony was like, yeah, right. He was like, I don't really believe her. But then he went back home, and they were doing one of those recording thingies, you know, that they do on Ghost Adventures.
An EVP?
Yeah.
An electronic voice phenomenon?
They were recording the session.
Okay.
So he went back and played the recording back, and this is what he heard.
Oh,
so
God.
Before the thing started, he was sprinkling Harold with holy water, and he heard his friend chuckle, the girl that was doing the reading. She was like, you're sprinkling it with holy water? And she like laughed, and a male voice responded, shut up, bitch. Then
babies should not speak that way.
I don't think he's a baby. What did I tell you about making fun of him?
I will refrain because I'm petrified.
It gets worse. So as his friend is doing the reading, Anthony heard the I'm going to kill you, you bitch, that she was talking about.
Yeah.
When she said that the doll was starting to kill her. And it was at that point that the friend said she couldn't continue, and then he heard what he described as like an evil laugh.
Bruh.
And after, not believing his friend and then listening to the recording, it was at that point that he was like, you know what? I think something's going on here.
Just a bit.
And he kept it with him for a year before he was fully convinced that there was something going on with the doll.
So maybe that's it.
I think
it's just people being skeptical, and that's like a year is the threshold. For
like proven.
Oh, no, this shit's fucked up.
So
okay.
He said what convinced him was that he like literally saw people being injured in the presence of Harold, and he himself had visions, and Harold caused him an injury that took surgery to fix. Like it messed up his knee or something. And so he decided after that much time he was going to put it away in a storage unit, and he left it there for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But in 2013, Anthony took the doll out of storage to continue testing and doing readings on it, largely because of the fact that people on the internet were still obsessed with Harold.
So like everybody's still talking about it.
It was because
put it
Annabelle
aside.
came out in like 2013, that movie. And so like the internet was obsessed with haunted dolls, so they would rank them. Just got really cold in here. People were obsessed with haunted dolls, so they would rank them. And he said that there was a lot of misinformation being spread about Harold. So he wanted to keep doing tests on him and to tell people why they were wrong or what was wrong about what they were saying.
Okay.
So the next part of his story is just shit that happens with Harold and like what happens when he's testing it.
And all to Anthony.
Yes. Everything. The next things I'm going to say are from Anthony. He also talks about what happens to people who make fun of Harold or express skepticism.
Okay.
It's kind of terrifying. So, you ready?
I am not skeptical. At this moment, I am throwing away the skeptical umbrella.
Okay. So, I went to Anthony's vlog, and
Okay.
it's just him testing the doll. Everything he posts is unedited. You can tell. He's literally just doing it on his phone, and it's like 2013 before people knew how to do shit.
Okay.
So he starts by asking Harold a bunch of questions, and the answers don't really make much sense. But I was watching this yesterday in your room.
Mm-hmm. You were losing it.
It was so scary. Anthony asked Harold what his name was, and and the spirit replied, "Guess." He wanted Anthony to guess.
Yo, that just gave me chills.
when "guess" popped up, I was like, "What?"
I don't like that one bit. Thank you very much.
And then, so Anthony was like, "What do you want?" And the doll asked Anthony if he wanted to help it, and Anthony asked what its name was again. The doll kept saying that it wanted out of the doll. Like the spirit kept saying that it wanted out of the doll.
Okay.
And he asked the doll if he knew who he was, and it said Anthony.
Dude.
And Anthony kept asking Harold what he wanted him to do. Meanwhile, like he had like a full setup, like the EVP and then like the dictionary thingy that they use on ghost hunters and the REM pod. And the REM pod, all 4 lights would light up every couple of minutes, which meant like there was like energy passing through the sphere of where the REM pod was.
Oh, okay.
Like,
have you explained what a REM pod is?
Wow. It's my next sentence. For those of you who don't watch Ghost Adventures or listen to ghosty shit, the REM pod radiates an electromagnetic field said to create energy for spirits to communicate through. The REM pod uses sound and color lights to set off alarms for the ghost hunter when it passes through.
Okay.
It keeps going off. And a couple of times Anthony's like reaching to fix one of the things. So he keeps saying, if it goes off, it's me. It's a false alarm. But then half the time he'll like do it and it won't go off. And then like another time he'll be moving his hand away and it'll start going off. So it's like not consistent.
It's kind of erratic.
It's not consistent when he is passing through it. And it happens often when he's not anywhere close to it. Like he stands very far away when he's asking questions.
Okay.
So he didn't say if all of them were like false alarms or what, but like there was a point where it was answering him and the thing lit up for like a solid 30 seconds, which is terrifying noise if you haven't heard it.
Jesus.
Yeah. In the last few minutes of the video, Anthony changes the reader to dictionary because he had it on phonetic for a while. So it was like spelling out the words that the ghost was trying to say. And he asks it. This is the really scary part.
When you start to laugh, that makes me altogether more uncomfortable.
This was the most terrifying part. So he asks if there is anything Harold would like to say. He says, "Show." Okay.
I'm not going to ask what because you're going to tell me.
Anthony didn't ask any more questions, but the thing keeps talking and it says unholy.
Ew.
It says unholy, and then it says hibbity hop. And Anthony is like, he wants to know what hibbity hop means because Harold has said it twice in the session. And meanwhile, I was stuck on unholy. I was like, God, get me out of here.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Hibbity hop made me feel a little bit better. Unholy made my stomach sink. Hippity Hop brought it up a little bit.
This is the last question of the session, and I think it's going to make it worse.
Great.
Anthony asks if there's a demon in the doll, and it responds, American, learn.
You're going to have to help me. I don't understand.
I think he's mocking him. He's
like you, American,
learn.
You have to. Yeah. Oh my God.
Just seeing the words come up and then like watching him turn the camera to himself and like reacting, I was like, you have to sleep at night knowing that this spirit just like threatened you. Dude. It was so scary. And then I went to his YouTube to see if there were more videos that I could watch where he's talking to Harold. And this is the one where he has the flashlight instead of all of the equipment. And it's a very simple setup. He just puts Harold down and has a flashlight in between his two little doll legs. Okay. And he starts asking questions. And the first question is, Harold, are you a demon? Anthony asks Harold to turn the flashlight on if he's a demon, and the flashlight turns on.
Why?
I remember when I was like, why are you asking these questions? Because they're just going to lead to scary answers. I was so upset with Anthony the entire time.
Don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
Okay, well, the next question was worse because Anthony said, turn the flashlight on if you want to hurt me.
Stop.
And the flashlight turns on, and then you just hear Anthony say, well, that's rather disturbing, isn't it?
Anthony, what are you?
He's like a psychic medium, and he does this for funsies.
So Anthony's doing it for fun. Anthony believes it. Anthony's not skeptical.
No.
But he's just like, oh, ho, ho. Look at you.
I think because he's trained, he knows how to like
react and respond without.
Yeah. And
okay.
I don't know if this is part of the stories. I don't think I actually put it in here, but in one of his like blog posts, he talks about how he and his wife had gotten a new dog. And when he first tried to bring the dog home, the dog would not go inside because it was afraid. And so Anthony went in and was like, Harold, we got a new dog friend, and I need you to make him feel welcome. And then when they brought the dog in, he was completely fine. So, like, I think he knows how to communicate with the spirits to, like, make them not hurt him and his dog, apparently.
Man, that's some level of decorum that just is out of this world.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think you should probably not try to communicate with them unless you know how to.
Yeah, and I most certainly don't because I needed you to explain to me American Learn.
Okay, so the next part of this fun little tale is the experiences that not only Anthony has, but that others have had. And a lot of these come from Anthony's website and things that people have written into him because he's like, he writes about the doll, so people like write to him about things that happen after they mock the doll or express skepticism about the doll, even like on YouTube. So I'll just read these to you because they're fairly scary. Another woman told Anthony that she didn't think there was anything to Harold. As she sat next to the doll, a few minutes later, she screamed out in pain. On her right side, the same side the doll was sitting next to her, from her stomach to the middle of her back, there was a long red gash. So he attacked her for saying that she didn't believe.
Like, I will cut you if you don't.
He did cut her.
No thanks.
Okay, and then he was listening to a recording of a tarot card with his friend Diane. Oh, no. She did the tarot card reading on Harold, and they were listening to it back. She was bitten on her right hand between her thumb and forefinger during the reading. And they checked where the indentations were, and he measured the bite and held the markings up to the doll's face, and it matched exactly his little mouth thing.
So it was like a little teeny tiny bite.
But it was happening while she was trying to do a card read on him. I don't think he liked it.
No.
Also, same lady, later on, below her left eye, it was swollen as though she'd been punched by a small fist. So they measured it, and it was the size of Harold's hand.
And that's only like...
teeny tiny little doll hand, yeah.
Dude, why would anyone fucks with this doll?
This one comes from someone who didn't even fucks with the doll. So a friend of Anthony's came to his house because they had plans to go out to lunch. She told him that when she pulled up, as soon as she got out of her car, she felt as though she were in danger. When Anthony didn't answer her knock on the door, she walked in and found the doll sitting at the kitchen table where Anthony had left him earlier. She tried to run out of the house because she felt as though she were stopped from leaving. She started screaming for Anthony, and he found her plastered against the wall next to the front door, sobbing and terrified. Just like psychologically attacked someone for coming in the house.
I don't have words.
This one is for all the people on social media. A woman saw a picture of Harold on Facebook.
I run the socials for the podcast.
I'm so sorry, but a woman saw a picture of Harold on Facebook and made a nasty comment about his appearance. The next morning, she contacted Anthony frantically. That last night around midnight, she woke up and could see Harold staring at her. She couldn't move for 10 minutes and said she was terrified and fear for her life.
Yay.
Maybe you shouldn't have made fun of him. I'm telling you. He doesn't take the disrespect.
I have all the respect for you, Harold.
Anthony says that he was not immune from attacks either. One night he had like a radio show called Blog Talk. And his friend called in and asked about the doll, and they talked and laughed about it. And the next morning, he had 4 scratches, like long scratches on his calf, and there was blood all over his sheets.
Bruh.
More stories.
No, more. Oh my God.
Okay. This one
bloody sheets.
is titled, He Was Mocking Harold the Doll When. So someone submitted this story to Anthony.
That was your first mistake.
Basically, some kid was mocking Harold because his parents were watching a video of Harold answering questions with the flashlight that Anthony posted on YouTube.
Okay.
The one I talked about earlier. The kid then proceeded to mimic Harold with a phone between his legs, like Harold was in the video, and the flashlight on the phone was going on and off when he was asking questions. And so the parents thought he was like pranking them. They were like, oh, your friend is like texting you or whatever. But then someone else in the room had the kid's phone. It wasn't even his phone. And then
what?
Apparently the kid looked terrified.
Actual fuck.
So then the parents were like, oh, it's probably just your grandpa teaching you a lesson not to mess with stuff like this. So they were like trying to laugh it off for the kid. But the lesson here is like, don't fucking mock Harold, because
I was half expecting you to go on saying that it got back at them for trying to underplay his obvious signs.
I think he was just messing with the kid for making fun of him, like trying to damage him for life, you know?
Yeah, casual.
And the parents were like, oh, trying to mitigate the damage. And this is the one that I was telling you about earlier, where the girl was too scared to ever say his name again.
Okay.
This was another story sent to Anthony. So a lady and her friend went to a psychic and told the psychic that they were considering going to watch Anthony speak, because he does that, because he's a psychic medium. Mm-hmm. She mentioned that Anthony owned Harold. And when she said that, she started experiencing like extreme pain in her lower back. And her friend was on her phone, and her friend, like the lady was like, what are you doing? And she was like, I'm looking up Harold's Facebook page. The lady was like, you need to stop doing that. And so she put the phone away and stopped looking it up, and the pain just like went away. So they went to hear Anthony speak, and she said that she hoped she would leave Harold at home. She woke up the next morning with she sent in a picture of this bruise too. Like it was an inexplicable bruise where the pain had been. And so she went to the doctor to ask about it. And the doctor thought that it was internal, but if it were internal, she would have been like sick, because it would have been like an illness.
Yeah. You don't just get internal bruises
right
here and there
so
randomly.
The only thing that came out of the story is that like this lady will never say the name again.
Okay. When you were first telling me about that, I was sketched out. I was like, oh gosh, I'm not going to say it, but it's going to be another Disneyland anecdote. But my association with the name Harold is with the Yeti in the Matterhorn. We called him Harold the Yeti. And so I have that positive association with him, that he's actually just a scary monster who lives in the Himalayas rather than a scary baby who lives in Anthony's room. Scary demon in a doll that resembles a baby in Anthony's place.
Oh, wait, no. We have until midnight when your parking pass expires, right?
Oh, yeah.
I ordered another one, but I have to print it.
Got to make sure I'm safe to park here.
Yeah. You have until midnight.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was that story.
But you're like, you have until midnight to live.
You do. I have like 3 pages left of Ghost Adventures.
Just all ghost adventures.
It was a crazy episode. So Harold made an appearance on the TV show Ghost Adventures, which is a travel channel show starring Zach Baggins. And as Austin says, it's usually cheesy as F. We were watching it before this, and it was the ZOZO episode.
Very same.
But yeah, it was very dramatic, even though like it probably was real.
There are elements that I'm like, okay, whoa, what the fuck? And then there are other elements where I'm like, come on, guys.
Anyway, Harold made his appearance on the episode called Island of the Dolls, and this episode just hit different.
Yeah, never getting a ticket to that island. Thank you.
Basically, there's this island in Xochimilco, Mexico, where this man put a bunch of dolls around an island to please/make comfortable the spirit of a little girl who he couldn't save from drowning. He felt guilty, so he left her dolls everywhere. Basically, it was like a sacrifice. I don't know, here because you're stuck here forever. Basically, here are some dolls.
So not like a gift.
Yeah.
Just to appease her. Okay.
So Zach and his crew hear about the island and they go out to see what all the hauntedness is about. By the way, Zach is very afraid of dolls, like very afraid. So it's got a different vibe than most of the other episodes. Like he just starts out terrified.
So he's just a regular human being, is what you're saying.
Not all the time, but in this episode, yeah. So they bring along a friend of the late island owner to try to communicate with him. There are all these rumors about certain dolls laughing/crying/ lighting up or whatever. Mind you, these dolls have been there for like decades. So they shouldn't still be able to operate because their batteries are definitely dead.
Oh, they're electronic dolls with voices and stuff?
Yeah. But like they shouldn't be working because like this man died at least 10 years ago. And like all of the dolls are from like decades before then. So they shouldn't be speaking or anything.
Icky.
Anyway.
Don't like that.
They decide that it would be a great idea to bring Harold the doll with them to the island of the dolls because maybe he can help them communicate with the dolls.
Wow.
Before they go to the island though,
Guys.
they bring him out and he's in a suitcase because Anthony had to bring him and he put him in a suitcase. Okay. So when they first bring Harold out, he's in a suitcase. Zach has to tell the crew exactly how to deal with Harold because he doesn't want any of them to get hurt by him. So basically, you can't look him in the eyes and you cannot mock him. Basically, don't piss Harold off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Zach attempts to pull Harold out of the suitcase, but he pulls on an arm that I guess he forgot that one of his arms was badly worn and was like kind of falling off. And so Zach, as he like pulls out the doll, he starts to feel pain in one of his arms. And it was the same arm as like Harold's arm that was falling off. A little later, like
he voodooed him.
Yeah. Well, they like, it's like kind of like Queenie. And
yeah, in Coven. Mm-hmm.
Where she like hurts herself to hurt other people. I don't know.
Sounds about right.
He doesn't really think anything of it at first, but then it starts to hurt like really bad. And then later, after they put Harold back and they're like kind of reconvening at the cars outside of wherever they decided to bring Harold out, he like the cameras come up to him and he's like, look at this mark on my arm. And it's just like this really dark bruise in the shape of like 3 or 4 fingers. And they're like baby sized. So like it's very clear, like, and it was hurting really, really bad. And it was very clearly like 4 dots as if someone had grabbed his arm really hard and left a bruise. And it was like, it wasn't like makeup-y, you know how like people can make their own bruises, but they look fake. And it didn't look like that. And Zach looked fucking terrified. And you've watched the show and he just like doesn't have emotions, you know, or they're like way over the top.
I can tell when they're going, when they're hamming it up.
They're like way over the top, but he was like legit, like this thing grabbed me. Okay. And he is afraid of dolls. So like it was just like that much scarier. So they go to a psychic to see if she has anything to say about the island or Harold. And she just tells them to be careful. Because I think she like sensed that there was a malevolent spirit inside of Harold, but like we already knew that from Anthony because he asked if it was a demon and turned the flashlight on.
Yeah.
So they bring Harold to the island, and they're doing an initial read of the dolls, like with the EVP thing, and they're just like asking the dolls if they have anything to say. They're just doing the thing, and you have to wait till you play it back to hear it, I think, right? No?
Well, because sometimes don't people hear it, but then...
They didn't have, like, they played it back on the thing.
Okay.
Because they were going by the specific dolls and, like, asking, and he was talking to this one doll and asking her to, like, speak to him.
And if I have any level of understanding of the, like, how the EVPs work, which I don't, I would assume it's based on, like, electromagnetic frequency, and they affect the recording vibration within the microphone, quote unquote microphone. So when you do play it back, it's in the digital audio, but not
right
to your head,
right. So
to your brain hole.
They're playing it back.
Okay.
And they hear a voice like whisper, "I don't like her, stupid." It's like, "I don't like her, stupid." As Zach is trying to ask one of the dolls a question. So they think that either Harold is saying he doesn't like this specific doll, or they think that Harold is forcing the dolls not to speak, because none of them are responding. Not even the ones that, like, the people who, like, work on the island or, like, go to the island often to, like, make sure things are preserved. Even the ones that they said are the ones that light up and laugh and stuff.
So there are
yeah.
Okay.
I think it has something to do with, like, culture in Mexico, where they, like, very much believe in spirits. So, like,
yeah, my friend from Mexico City told me that, especially with respect to medicine, medical doctors and, like, practitioners are less respected than what they call el chaman, like a shaman. So spiritual healers, they hold that more to heart.
So people, like, know that the dolls usually will
Yeah, they've
exhibit.
definitely got experience behind it.
Usually the dolls will go off.
Okay.
But they're not. It's, like, silent. And they think it's because they brought Harold and it's threatening them. So.
And they're like, gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Don't want to. Okay.
Basically. So they make this really dumb decision.
Love
where
those.
they're like, let's bring Harold out and see if he can help us. They're hoping that Harold will encourage the dolls to speak to them. And so they're literally, like, counting to 3 before they, like, pull the doll out. And right as they're about to pull him out, like, a million things happen at once. So literally the bald guy with the beard, he's like, ready, 1, 2, and then on 3 the shit just goes down. So, like, the first thing that happens is the camera that's, like, out here watching them, it, like, picks up this, like, force of energy just, like, fly out of the room. And then, like, right when that's happening, a doll starts crying. And then, like, hello, Molly.
Molly can tell I'm freaking the fuck out.
And, like, at the exact same time, everything just happens at one time. And I have to show it to you because it was, like, the wildest thing.
Can we watch it in the daylight?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There are, like, cats on the island. And, like, right as everything is happening, like, at the same time, not they're getting spooked out by the doll. It all happened at once. The cats freak out and run outside. And they run past the boat where the crew is set up. And the people on the boat are like, whoa, a cat just ran by us. And it's, like, dark in the house on the island. So Zach and the friend, they don't see the cats, but they hear them freak out and run away as, like, the doll is going off and as, like, the spirit flies out of the room. And all of this is happening. Zach just runs. He's like, bye. Like, he fucking books
Host
it.
of the show. He's like, I'm done.
Usually he's like, oh, but he just fucking ran. He was like, I'm out. He fucking ran. And that's why I was like, oh, this seems pretty fucking real. Like, usually I'm like, oh, you're being dramatic, but it was all those things happened at once. And it all, like, everything got caught on camera because they have the thermal thing. So, like, you saw the doll light up and, like, start laughing. You saw the cats and fucking book it, and you saw the thing, like, fly. And the friend is, like, holding the camera. He's like, what's going on? And, like, Zach is gone. He's like, I'm out of here.
I was just going to say, like, they always go into creepy ass places. And whether or not I believe some of these things are, like, actually legitimately haunted, I would not want to be there with them. And I would not want to be in a situation where my co-host / friend who I'm doing the show with is just like
fakes it half the time. He booked it.
Who's like, fucking bye. And you're just sitting there like, I have to hold the camera, asshole. Thanks.
Oh, it gets worse too. Like,
stop saying that.
No, this has nothing to do with Harold, but, like, at one point, one of the dolls, like, starts crying.
Okay.
And they're like, what the fuck? So, Zach fucking was like, go check the doll to see if it has wires. but there's a gigantic spider on the doll. And so the guy's like, I don't want to touch that thing. There's like a spider's nest in the doll's dress. And he was like, just see if there are wires, man. And he's like, no, the spider's right there, man. And like, they won't.
Come on, dude.
They don't want to touch it. And it like, he finally like flips it over and he's like, there's wires, but they're cut. And I was like,
What the fuck?
I was like, gotta go.
And that was the doll that cried.
Yeah.
Dude, no.
And there was like a
Fuck
spider's
no.
nest inside the doll too. So like,
Well, maybe the spiders made the connection. Maybe they were electric spiders.
totally.
I don't know.
Makes a lot of sense.
We have electricity running through us.
You're so annoying. So they're like, eventually Zach comes back and they're like trying to calm down, and they think like a couple of things probably happened here. Like either Harold really did not want to come out of the bag, or the dolls really did not want Harold to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, he's been tormenting us from inside the bag. Like it could only get worse.
Yeah.
So they just like went off.
I'm open to either of them being an option.
Yep. Okay. This is the last little thing on the island. This is the ending I was telling you about that pissed me off.
Okay.
So they wanted to talk to the former owner. Like that was their whole point in going to the island, was to talk to him about like the one who found the little girl and couldn't save her from drowning.
Mm-hmm.
So to do this, they were like, brilliant idea. We're going to put Harold next to the owner's favorite doll in his hut that like radiated energy and was like very well known for like expressing.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, yeah, let's put those two together. That's normal. So they were able to talk to the owner because his friend was there, and he like, when they were doing the loud noise thingy, he heard his friend's voice come through. Like the guy doesn't speak English.
Oh, okay.
The friend doesn't speak English, but he heard his friend's voice come through the noise box thingy.
Oh.
And because like before they had the translator tell him to thumbs up if he heard his friend's voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so
His friend was the little girl who drowned?
No, his friend was the guy who couldn't rescue her.
Oh, okay. I'm keeping up. I promise.
So his friend's voice came through and he went like really quick.
Oh, okay.
He thumbs up really quick, and they were like, no way. Like they didn't think they were going to be able to talk to the guy. So that happened. Mission accomplished for them. But they had the thermal camera on the dolls so that they could pick up energy coming in and out.
Okay.
And so like when the friend spoke, like something flew out of the dolls. Like it went out right when it.
And they caught it on camera.
Yeah. And that was like, they were expecting that. But.
Yeah, because that's usual.
But that's like what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But then they were like pointing out Harold, and they were like, look at Harold closely. And Harold was radiating heat like a person. And like
in the thermal.
Yeah, he had like heat under him, like where he was sitting was heated, and like through his body he was heated. And then they were like, there is no reason for him to be exuding any level of heat because he's a doll. It was radiating off the doll like how humans radiate heat. But also keep in mind, it was like the middle of the night on an island, so it was cold as fuck for everybody else. But this heat was like coming off the doll, and that's like where the episode ended. They were just like, hey, look, Harold has body heat.
I'd be pissed too.
And that was the end of the episode.
That was the episode before the episode that we just watched?
After.
It
was the one right after.
It was the one that was about to start before we started recording.
Yeah. That was the end of the episode though. And I was like, you can't, I don't understand. Like, explain to me what body heat means from a doll. Because now we know he has a heartbeat and body heat.
I don't care for that.
Yeah, so that was nope, that was it. That was my story, just to let you all know that Harold takes no prisoners and paranormal is scary as fuck.
Okay, I have no argument.
Oh, guys,
for which
also,
is spookier.
While I was researching today, I was researching about Harold the doll, and I just like couldn't breathe for like a couple of seconds, and I was like, huh. This seems familiar. And then I closed all of my windows and I was like, and I could breathe again.
Okay. I'm trying to put myself in Harold's position. If I were a demon inhabiting a doll that looks like a baby, and I had this overwhelming knowledge of when people are making fun of me or when people are skeptical of me, I feel like my motivation would be to want more people to know of me so I can torment more people, because hell yeah, that's how I get my kicks. But then with your situation, I'm disappointed.
That I didn't die?
No, I'm glad you didn't die. I suppose I'm more confused why he would stop you from breathing when you're just learning about him. Because if I were in that position...
Maybe he didn't think I was doing it for like a good purpose.
Oh, because he's like, you're doing this to talk about me on a podcast.
Yeah, and he's not the only doll that like attacks people. Like Annabelle's been known to attack people.
But like through the interwebs and through
I think
recordings?
She mostly attacked people who like came to see her and were making fun of her or like mocking her and stuff.
So that means you need a physical proximity to them.
I think so. That's what
but
I
Harold
read about
seems to
her.
have
That's
a
why
wider
I
reach.
picked Harold over Annabelle because
Well, thanks
Harold
a lot.
attacks people over the internet.
Great.
And it is terrifying. You're welcome. Also, it is 10:40, so I think you should probably... It's 10:50, so you should probably start your story now. This is going to be our longest episode.
It's going to be our longest episode. I need a breather because...
Do you want me to print your thing
that
so you can put it in your car?
freaked me out. Yes, please. Well, while Kristen prints my parking pass, this is a perfect time for an advertisement break. And we're back. Thank you guys for listening to our ads, and thank you Anchor.fm for distributing our podcast. I do have to say, before we go on to my story, while you were telling me that, remember last week when you were having jaw issues because you're clenching too much? Well, thanks to that story, I was clenching my jaw a lot.
So sorry.
And now I feel like I need to stretch it out. I'm like, yeah.
So sorry. That was a rough one.
Yeah. So much spoops. Happy Halloween once again, everybody. Okay, let's get into a true crime story now. I did my research today on the Lake Arrowhead murders. And to fill you guys in, we actually currently, as you are listening to this, are in Lake Arrowhead camping
now
for
they
the
can
weekend.
Come attack us. What is wrong with you?
No, because by the time they hear this, we'll either be gone or they only have a day to get there. So, but we're not telling them what campsite we're going to be at.
You told them we were camping?
Yeah.
There aren't that many campsites, man.
Don't come looking for us, folks.
You've triangulated our location. You suck.
But the whole point is we're going to be in Lake Arrowhead, and now Kristen gets to think of the fact that there were a couple people murdered out there.
A couple. He thinks there were only a couple.
In my story, there are. Let's crack into it.
You think I wasn't thinking about this the entire time we were in Big Bear or Joshua Tree? You
don't think I don't
wrong.
think about this anytime I go anywhere ever?
With me? I
There's
think about
somebody
it
murdered.
every time I go outside because...
Like, I wonder who was murdered here.
Not just that, but like, hey, I wonder how long it would take for someone to find my body.
That's key. So when you're just walking around in everyday life, make sure you stay in places where your body will be found as soon as possible.
It doesn't matter if you're there. They can take your body elsewhere. Oh, here she comes.
Secondary locations.
Hi, baby.
Okay, let's do it. The Lake Arrowhead murders. Let's talk about some people. Okay. Starting with John Painter.
What does he paint?
John Painter, he paints a lot of things.
Okay.
I'm sure he's a magnificent artist. John Painter was born in 1915 in California, Southern California, and went on to live in Cathedral City, which is directly next to Palm Springs. Later on in his 30s and 40s, John Painter began a couple of men's clothing stores in San Bernardino County, California. And with the money made from those businesses, he purchased a lakefront home on Palisades Drive in Lake Arrowhead in the 1960s. He had a wife, Janet Painter, and two daughters, Barbara and Janet Jr. with his wife. The family would spend their summer vacations at their vacation home in Lake Arrowhead and occasionally would make weekend getaways. They would go during holidays and over summer. But for the rest of the year, John had a property management company rent out the house. And while I was looking in this area, I actually found the street that this home is on. And I just want you to take a quick look at some of the houses that are on this little plot of land. So you've got current listings. These are sold houses up there. We've got a $1.13 5-bedroom, 4-bath.
$13? I can afford that.
Sorry, $1.3 million. This one.
Okay, so his clothing store did all right.
Yeah, he did pretty good.
That one looks oh my God, do you see it? Do you see the $409,000 one?
Oh yeah, it's like a little barn. What?
Oh my, gross.
Hey, it's still pretty nice looking though. All right. We have different opinions about that house. Suffice it to say, the majority of these houses on Palisades Drive, which is directly on the edge of Lake Arrowhead, these are lakefront homes, $1.5 to $3 million cabins up in the forest, and they're real nice. Unfortunately, not long after they purchased the vacation home in the 1960s, his wife, Janet Painter, died of cancer in the late 60s, and then John became very depressed for a time. So he turned his focus to his daughters and his grandkids to cope with the emotional trauma of losing his wife. He later remarried, but he also, as he aged, developed dementia and inevitably lost his driver license when he was deemed unfit to drive. As the years go by, his daughter, Janet Jr., who is now Janet Fisher, took on a role of caring for her father as she would drive him from his full-time home in Cathedral City to visit the vacation home in the mountains where they would go boating around the lake. So imagine just a cute little old man and his adult daughter going for boat rides around the lake. Painter's youngest daughter, Barbara Martin, was an evangelist living in Whittier, California, and she rarely had opportunities for vacations. So when her sister Janet was going to take a trip to Hawaii in June of 2002, Janet loaned Barbara her car, a Hyundai Accent.
It's a Hyundai.
Janet loaned Barbara her Hyundai Accent.
Wait, what? I thought evangelist was like a religion.
Yes. Why?
It's not pertinent to the story. You just...
It will be. Barbara Martin was an evangelist.
Yes.
And
she took the Hyundai.
And her sister Janet loaned her Hyundai Accent to Barbara, suggesting that Barbara take their dad, John, up to the Lake Arrowhead vacation home, spend some time together because she doesn't get enough time to get out. Now, let's go back and talk about one Samuel Charles Wright Jr. Sam Wright was born in 1980 and was raised in Crestline. Goodness. He was raised in Crestline, which is the census-designated region surrounding Lake Arrowhead. He didn't have the best family life, and although I couldn't find exact details on his upbringing without subscribing to any court document sites or forums, I do know that he grew up under the supervision of his mom, and he was forced to take care of his family at a young age. It was my guess that he had maybe 2 or more siblings that he had to take care of, probably did the shopping, and it was probably rough for him at a young age to have to take care of his family. At age 14, he was kicked out of his house and had to move in with his dad, who had diabetes, so Sam was responsible for administering his father's insulin shots. And growing up from there, Sam has a number of issues, a series of warrants for arrest, and just all around not the biggest contributor to society, let's say. When Sam turned 15 years old in 1995, he met John Painter, who offered him a job taking care of the Palisades Drive household, doing odd jobs around the house, general maintenance, upkeep, etc. So Sam Wright's employment with John was sort of here and there. He would come and go as needed for about 7 years. And then in April 2002, John Painter had a bigger plan for his Palisades home. He wanted to upgrade one of the rooms with a completely new cabinetry. And because he knew Sam so well, he said, okay, well, let's have you build and install those cabinets. And Sam started working there a bit more frequently. Sam Wright, now 22 years old, enlisted help from a friend, Jonathan Craig Holman, also 22 years old, to build and install the cabinets at the Palisades Drive home in June 2002. Okay, so we're caught up to June 2002. We've got John Painter, who's 87 years old at this time, and his daughter, Barbara Martin, who's 58 years old at this time, visiting their vacation home, spending some time by the lake. And then we've got a couple of 22-year-olds, Sam and John, working in the garage on some cabinets. And then, On June 15th, 2002, the day before Father's Day, John's daughter, Janet, who is on her vacation in Hawaii, gave him and Barbara, her sister, a phone call from Hawaii to wish them a happy early Father's Day. They spoke to one another for about an hour and 10 minutes, and Janet later recounts that her dad was coherent and there were no concerns, despite his dementia that he's developed over the years. Then later on into Father's Day, Sam and John must have done a bang-up job with the cabinet work because they end up having one hell of a party at John Painter's house that lasted several days. Oh, did I mention that both of them are meth addicts? Yeah, so Sam and John have a bunch of friends over at the house, partying, drinking, doing drugs, and engaging in all-around debauchery. Before the night of June 16th, 2002, when they had their big party, Sam Wright agreed to pay his friends Shannon Holmberg and Melanie Goldfield to clean the house. Then the next morning, on June 17th, 2002, after their party, Sam, John, Shannon, and Melanie meet up at the Painter house. Sam Wright driving a Hyundai Accent, and John arriving in his own vehicle. Sam and John showed the women around the house, telling them to avoid the basement due to some sewage problems. While cleaning, Melanie Goldfield noticed a fresh, dark red stain on the carpet in one of the bedrooms, but she didn't ask about it. And then she had said that it looked like somebody had previously tried to clean it. So when Melanie was unable to get the stain out, she just moved on.
Sorry. Well, that's dumb, but all right.
Yeah, she was like, it looks like somebody already tried, but it's really caked in there, so it must be old.
I guess better not to ask if you think it's blood. You just kind of have to leave.
Yeah, because you don't know who made that stain, and you don't want to fucks with them. So another thing Melanie found in the house was the identification card of John Painter. She found it underneath the toaster in the kitchen, and then Sam Wright told her to put it back. He was like, oh, yeah, that's supposed to be there.
So at
right
that
under
point,
the toaster.
You're like, right.
Gotta
fucking go.
Sam Wright. Culprit right now. Okay.
Dear Lord.
So we're still in mid-June 2002. Sam Wright told another one of his friends, her name is Ariane Ingham, that he needed about $1,000 to pay off some outstanding warrants and to hire an attorney.
Well, yeah, sure. Take my money. What? No.
And we already knew that he had a history of criminal acts, but
yeah, but I need $1,000 to pay a warrant and hire an attorney. No.
And then around the same time, Sam complained to yet another friend, Rebecca Brown.
Also the name of my con law professor.
Hey, Rebecca Brown. You're very different from this Rebecca Brown, because this Rebecca Brown was a fellow meth user.
Oh.
Yeah. Sam was complaining to his other meth friend, Rebecca Brown, that John Painter had underpaid him for work on some cupboards.
You are lucky to be paid at all, I guess.
Yeah, no kidding. It wasn't $1,000. It wasn't enough to pay for his outstanding warrants.
Yikes, dude. Okay.
All right.
I see where this is going.
A little bit. On the morning of Sunday, June 16th, Father's Day, Ariane Ingham gave Sam and John Holman, the two boys who were working on the cabinets, a ride to a gas station near John Painter's house. The following day, on June 17th, 2002, John Holman asked Shannon Holmberg, one of the friends who had cleaned the house, to drive him to the Mountain Pawn Shop in Crestline to cash a check for $300 from John Painter's checking account with a note on the memo line that said yard cleanup.
That's not who you were hired to do.
Maybe it was a previous job. Who knows?
Sure.
John's been working for him.
Wait. To a pawn shop?
Yeah, to a pawn shop to cash a check.
How do you cash a check at a pawn shop?
I don't know how things worked in 2002.
Is that was a thing? It worked?
Well, because the pawn shop owner was unable to verify the funds or to reach John Painter by phone, she refused to cash the check. So basically what happened was they show up with this check and they're like, hey, can you cash this? She said, okay, it's under the name of John Painter. I need his verbal confirmation that this is...
Is that how checks were? I thought like they just sign it and you give it to your bank.
Well, this... Maybe in the pawn shops you have to sign, or maybe you have to like have the ID.
I'm just trying to figure out why someone would go to a pawn shop to cash a check. Does he want like actual cash for it? I'm very confused.
They're trying to cash out on checks that John supposedly made to them for all the work.
You gotta go to a bank.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not going to work out in this situation.
Okay, continue.
So basically the pawn shop owner is like, okay, we couldn't get a hold of him. So in response, Sam's like, all right, I'll just take it back. And then he comes back the next day, tries to cash the same check. And when the same pawn shop owner is like, okay, can we call John Painter? They call, somebody answers on the line saying they're John Painter, but the pawn shop owner recognizes the voice of Jonathan Holman because she knows him.
I thought Holman was the girl.
Holman is John.
No.
And then there's Shannon Holmberg. Yeah, not confusing at all. So yeah, once again, Sam Wright, John Holman are the two who were doing the cabinets.
The murderers.
And we don't know that.
We know that.
They were doing cabinet work.
No.
And so...
Continue.
So yeah. Oh, sorry, I mixed it up. Who was where? Holman was the one who was trying to cash the check. And he left, returned later on to ask her to call Painter once again, to call John Painter. And then the man who answered the phone sounded like Sam Wright, who the pawn shop owner knew. So she still refused to cash the check. Because she's like, dude, I can hear your voice. I know you're not an 87-year-old man.
You sure?
Why are you being stupid?
You sure? Are you sure?
So that's some sketchy business.
How many times is that? 3?
So far, we're at 2 attempts to cash the check. And now we go on to another attempt with John trying to cash the same check, this $300 check, at Johnny's Market in Crestline, which I'm assuming is a grocery store that has like an ATM or something.
Trying to cash checks at places that are not a bank.
Literally.
I don't understand.
Don't do it because it's going to seem really sketchy and it's going to come up later in court. The owner of Johnny's Market did not know John Painter, but he did know that Jonathan Holman did not do maintenance work.
Oof.
Because that was Sam who did all the maintenance work for John Painter at the Palisades home. So the owner of Johnny's Market refused to cash the check, and John Holman finally, in a 4th attempt, succeeded in cashing the check at John Painter's bank, Jackson Federal Bank.
Hey, what'd I tell you guys?
There you go.
From the beginning. You should have just gone to the bank.
Go to the fucking bank.
Maybe then people wouldn't be calling the cops on you. God.
Later on, when John Painter's bank account was audited, it showed debits for 3 checks. 1 check for $1,600 with a memo saying decking, dated June 14th, 2002, so a day before or 2 days before John Painter was no longer being able to be contacted, which was payable to Samuel Charles Wright, and it was misspelled. That check
Wright, W-R-I-T.
was W-R-I-T-E, but Sam Wright's last name is W-R-I-G-H-T.
Okay.
And then that was cashed on June 17th, 3 days later. There was a second check, the $300 check payable to John Holman with the memo yard cleanup, also dated June 17th, and a third and final check for $350 dated June 18th, payable to Jonathan C. Holman, which was cashed on June 19th, 2002.
Because he figured out that you do that shit
You
at
just
a bank.
go to a bank.
God. I don't understand. Okay, whatever. Keep talking.
Mm-hmm. And then on June 20th, 2002, a white male presented to the bank yet another check in the amount of $1,250, which was then refused.
No shit.
So,
come on.
Finally, the bank was like, hey, guys, no more checks. And then a check from John Painter's account may have also been used to pay for a pizza that day.
Who pays for a pizza with a check?
Especially a $1,250 check. Not sure how that works. No, it was from his checkbook.
You just give him a 20.
Mm-hmm.
And,
These guys don't have 20s.
because they only stole the checkbook?
They got a different kind of paper.
I don't understand.
So I think we can kind of see where this is going. Both of them were methamphetamine addicts, according to their lawyers later on. But we don't even know what's happened to John Painter yet.
No, we don't. You gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta figure this out.
You gotta tell me how they died.
I know. I wanted to leave you in suspense. And I'm going to keep leaving you in suspense. So you remember when I told you Janet had called from Hawaii and spoke to his father on June 15th?
Her father.
Her father. What did I say?
His.
Sorry, Janet. I didn't mean it. She had been in contact with them, but when she returned from her Hawaii vacation on June 26th, she tried to call her father and sister again, but later said in court, I was not able to contact them or reach them at all in Lake Arrowhead. Obviously concerned, she called the Lake Arrowhead authorities to perform a welfare check on the home. Now, welfare check is conducted by a deputy sheriff detective to the John Painter residence on Palisades Drive, and they found Painter and Martin's bodies in the basement in, quote, moderate stages of decomposition, presumed to have been dead for approximately 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Mm-hmm. 2 weeks by June 26th.
Oh, no.
10 days. Barbara Martin's body was wrapped in a comforter, and there was a plastic bag around her head.
Oh, no.
Keep in mind, 58-year-old woman. And John Painter, 87-year-old man's body was covered in a carpet with blunt force trauma wounds on the back of his head.
Why?
And his back pocket of his pants turned inside out.
Why?
Yay.
Why?
Let's take a look at what happened from somebody else's perspective. Somebody who has...
Nobody else's perspective deserves the light.
He's got a really clear perspective because he was there for it all. Mr. Jonathan Holman.
I don't love where that's going.
No. So, Jonathan Craig Holman... Actually, should I tell you what he said or tell you how they were arrested first?
Dealer's choice, I guess.
Let's go back. How were they arrested? Well, so Sam Wright and Joshua Ray Mitchell, another one of their friends, were pulled over by a California Highway Patrol officer for not stopping at a stop sign while they were driving down Highway 173. And guess what car they were in, Kristen?
Was it a Hyundai?
It was a Hyundai Accent.
You kind of let that slip earlier.
What?
When they went to the house for the friends to clean it up.
Oh, yeah.
You said he was driving a Hyundai Accent.
'Tis the facts. When he was pulled over by this officer, Sam was not able to provide identification, but he did give the officer Janet Fisher's registration and an expired insurance card and claimed that he was just using his boss's car. Because Sam Wright had active warrants and a suspended license, the officer arrested and searched him.
Quality.
Yup. The officer found a credit card bearing John Painter's name, which Sam Wright had said was his boss's, and he said that his boss had given it to him to purchase gas in lieu of payment for work.
Totally allowed.
Mm-hmm. So he was put in jail. Upon investigation of the car, the officer also found a leather jacket with a swastika patch on it.
This guy just keeps getting better.
Mm-hmm. And what I haven't told you about Joshua Ray Mitchell is that this guy has SKINHEAD tattooed across his fingers. So we're talking about meth head white supremacist group up in Lake Arrowhead. Yippee! So obviously, Sam Wright's arrested. Later, John Holman is also implicated in this potential crime and obvious crime.
You found the bodies already. They're dead.
And so John Holman later testifies during his capital murder trial in San Bernardino Superior Court about the killings of John Painter and Barbara Martin. He said that he was high and had not slept for days when he agreed on Father's Day 2002 to work with Sam Charles Wright at the Painter household. And he had told the court that it was literally that same day that Sam asked him to go help him with cabinet work that Sam brought up the idea of killing both John and Barbara.
Why?
And he brought that up in the kitchen while they were at the house. So they're working in the kitchen. John and Sam are just plunking around with their cabinets, and Sam looks to him and he says, "Yo, you thought about killing John and Barbara?"
Totally, man. Totally.
On the first ask, John says, "No, it's okay."
Normal.
Mm-hmm. But Barbara, being the evangelical woman that she is, and being a little bit skeptical and judgmental of John's religious history, which is satanic.
What'd I tell you?
It's always
what did
down
I
to
tell
Satanism.
you? It always comes down.
These guys are white supremacist Satanists who are addicted to methamphetamines. So
what
that's good
I
times.
Tell you, it always stems from some sort of supernatural shit. I told you.
And Barbara knew this, so she apparently kept talking about and bothering John about Jesus and the Bible.
All you gotta do is say, "Please stop."
Mm-hmm. But he didn't do that, because 15 minutes later, Sam Wright asked Holman once again if he wanted to kill them, and then John was like, "You know what? She annoyed me about Jesus and the Bible, so fuck it, let's kill him." And
totally
they
logical
just
conclusion.
went right down to it.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He went outside and get some plastic bags of trash up to the parking area. And when John returned to the house, he heard a little bit of a scuffle going on upstairs. He said to the court, "When I came back in, I heard a slapping noise and I knew what was going on." Wright came downstairs from the 3rd level with a torn shirt, and Holman said he believed Sam Wright had killed the woman.
No.
Immediately following, Sam lures the old man, John Painter,
I don't want to hear this,
into the basement utility room by telling him that there's a sewage leak.
I don't need to hear it.
So John follows him down into the utility room.
Actually don't need to hear
And once he's in there,
you are not
Sam
respecting me.
strikes John Painter in the back of the head with a ball-peen hammer, and he immediately falls to the ground.
Okay, are you done? Because I asked you not to continue.
Nope, I'm not quite done.
I don't want to.
John Painter stumbles.
There's something
falls
wrong
to his side.
with you for being able to say all of these things out loud when your girlfriend is asking you not to.
You told me all those scary things. I gotta keep going.
Yeah, because those don't have anything to do with like an old man being beaten to death.
It happened. It's true. It's crime.
So what?
And then John tells the court that an indescribable noise comes from the victim's throat.
All right, I'm gonna leave.
Sam Wright then pushed the hammer over to John Holman,
Adios.
who went over to the elderly man, shut his own eyes, and struck Painter in the head several times in rapid succession. Holman tells the court, "I don't think I felt anything at all," when he struck John Painter, and then John Holman described himself at the time as an evil, cowardly person. A week before the attack had happened, John Holman said that Sam was already talking about killing people, but he didn't take Sam seriously. Holman also said to the court that he had no role in killing Barbara Martin, who was strangled, and that he only helped move her body after she died. John Holman's testimony ends with him saying that he feels terrible and wishes that it never happened, and that he wished he could take it back. Holman also said he believes that he should get the death penalty. Prosecutors say that Holman and Wright wanted Painter's money and picked victims who were vulnerable. They also say the men stayed at Painter's home for days, where they partied with friends, alcohol, and drugs while the bodies lay in the basement. However, John Holman denied that he was involved in the partying, saying he left the house and came back twice. Checks from Painter's bank account were forged and cashed. In terms of what's it called? Mitigating circumstances, or like character?
Mitigating factors.
Mitigating factors, thank you. John Holman said that he had grown up in a structured home with good parents and was never sexually abused, in contrast to the defense opening statement at the start of the trial's penalty phase. John Holman said, "I had a pretty ideal childhood," and he added that his parents were great and that he was well taken care of. So John has remorse, and Sam Wright was basically the leading entity in this terrible tragedy.
I don't really like him.
No, he's a piece of human garbage.
And I don't really want to hear his take on it.
I won't be recounting the murder, I promise you.
I will leave
This is later on
my
in
own
jail.
house forever and never come back if you do that again.
This is from an article on January 25th, 2011, because the trials happened 9 years after the murders occurred. Coming from, I want to say this is the court scribe. Her name is Heidi.
Heidi said.
And on January 25th,
the scribe.
6:31.
Do you know what they call the scribe?
No, what do they call it?
They're court reporters.
Oh, the court reporter. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Heidi's the court
the
reporter.
The scribe.
Mm-hmm.
Dick.
January 25th article is titled Defendant's Own Words Presented at Trial in Lake Arrowhead Deaths. Prosecutors rested their cases Monday in the trials of two Crestline men who could face the death penalty in the killings of an elderly man and his adult daughter on Father's Day 2002 in Lake Arrowhead. The prosecution ended their case against...
Oh, she's like a reporter. She's not the scribe.
Oh, okay. I'm learning all the things about court documents,
just
guys.
Say, they like, their documents say exactly what is said in court. Like,
oh, so this would be like a transcription, but this is more of a...
This is a story.
Cliff's Notes. Okay.
Cliff's Notes?
Yeah. You know Cliff?
They're
his notes.
They're Cliff Notes. I don't know Cliff. Is he nice?
Yeah, he writes good notes.
Interesting. I gotta ask Cliff for his notes next exam period.
And I think Heidi is somehow related to Cliff. They have the same job.
Heidi ripped off
work
Cliff.
In the same office. Heidi's notes about this murder case say that defense lawyers will start calling witnesses today, January 25th. In a telephone call made from jail on July 1st, 2002, John Holman, he called a friend named Jamie about his role in the death of John and Barbara, according to Sheriff Sergeant Michael Gilliam in this report. The recorded call was played in court. John Holman said, "I beat a dude with a hammer, and Sam fucking killed some lady, dude. Strangled her to death." The phone call that was played in court on Monday began with John Holman telling Jamie that he could be in jail for 15 years, but then later he said that he could get the death penalty or life in state prison. He didn't know. John Holman admitted that he took money from John Painter, and then Jamie responded that at least he got something out of it.
Jamie, what the fuck?
I know, right?
What?
And then John Holman laughed in response. Ha 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 ha, at least he got something out of killing an old man.
Funny. That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
And in this call from prison, this obviously recorded call from prison, I might add.
Here's the thing. If you're in prison, you can just assume that nothing you say is private.
Yeah. But John's an idiot.
Y'all
and so is Sam.
Be dumb.
When he was still talking to Jamie, he claimed to have taken $56,000, and he said that some of it was stash.
Stashed where?
Nobody knows, because it was never brought up again in these articles. Jamie asked
just claim
him,
to have $56,000 and let it go.
Maybe he's like, "Yo, Jamie, treasure hunt time. Good luck." Jamie asked John, "Whatever made you do it?" I don't know. Flipped out. You were spun out of your mind, huh? Yeah, I was.
Does that mean high?
Yeah. Detectives never determined who Jamie was. And yeah, the spun out of your mind is in reference to them being like really, really high on meth. So yeah. And that became a later huge part of their defense because...
Not a defense.
Sorry?
It's not a defense.
Oh, no, I know.
It doesn't matter if you're high. If you are the cause of your own highness, then you're at fault.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone else drugged you, then you might have a defense. This is all knowledge that I'm pulling out of my back pocket from a class I took my first year of law school. So forgive me if I'm wrong. But I remember there being something about if you voluntarily took the drugs, then you're at fault. And if you didn't
know a lot more about it than I do.
Take the drugs voluntarily, like you were roofied or something, then maybe you're not at fault.
Yikes. That sounds like a terrible scenario. Well,
you didn't choose to be high, so I don't know how you can be held accountable for that.
That's fair. Seems fair. Hopefully the law system's working. In this case, both defendants face charges of murder, robbery, burglary, plus special circumstances of multiple murders, murder during a robbery, and murder during a burglary.
Felony murder rule.
All of the above.
No, I was saying
Wait, what?
that if you kill someone in the course of another felony, it's first-degree murder.
Oh, okay.
This is called the felony murder rule.
Gotcha. What would it be otherwise?
Manslaughter? I don't know. It only exists in some jurisdictions.
Oh, okay.
Felony murder rule. It comes up a lot in like small town murder stories, I think.
Gotcha. That came up in their defense, in their appeals. We're trying to combat that with respect to it being linked to the robbery. But
they're trying to say that what? It wasn't an intentional murder, so it couldn't be first degree, but you were doing it while
it didn't pan out
through the course of a felony, so it doesn't matter. That's literally the point of the felony murder rule.
Yeah.
So they don't have to prove intent, you asshole.
If they are convicted, they each could face the death penalty. Defense lawyers insisted that the killings were not planned or premeditated, and that because the defendants were using methamphetamines, the killings did not amount to first-degree murder.
Lies.
Yeah.
Felony murder rule. Thank you, California.
Now, back to Sam Wright. He also engaged in some phone calls from jail to his family member after his arrest. He was talking to his parents on the phone from jail.
And they were like...
And all of these phone calls were, quote, expletive-laden jail calls. So there was a lot of cursing going around.
I thought you only got one call in jail. Is that not true? I know nothing about jail.
I was like, this is not a subject I would know more about.
Never been to jail. They always say you get one phone call. Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Ghost Adventures.
Clearly. In an interview with sheriff's investigator Robert Hurd, a polygraph expert, Wright initially presented himself as a passive participant, but then opened up and made some admissions. He let it all out.
He was not a passive participant.
No, Wright definitely strangled and plastic bagged a 50-year-old woman.
Okay.
And then dealt the first blow.
Trash.
Yeah, pieces of garbage. So this all boils down to the two of them going to court and being convicted of their first-degree murder charges.
Oh.
And then it moved into a penalty phase.
Wait.
What?
They were guilty of first-degree murder.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so this means they could get the death penalty.
They absolutely could get the death penalty. The jury convicted John Holman, in February of first-degree murder on both deaths, as well as the burglary, two counts of robbery, and auto theft. The same jury later determined that John Holman should live out the rest of his life behind bars. Deputy Public Defender Rashid Alexander, one of the two attorneys who represented Holman at the trial, thanked the jury for their hard work during the months-long trial. But then the prosecutor, Robert Bullock, said that he had mixed feelings on the outcome. He said he was glad that the jury reached a verdict after months of hard work, but he believed that John Holman deserved the harshest punishment the state offers. Bullock later said, "Not only did John Holman brutally take John Painter and Barbara Martin's lives, I believe he robbed them of the sympathy and compassion that was rightfully theirs from the jury. Unfortunately, this is too late for his victims, but my heart goes out to Painter and Martin families, and I hope they are not discouraged by the verdict." This is only about John Holman's trial. So in Sam Wright's trial penalty phase, when they were trying to decide if he should get life or death, first the jury had a 5-7 split because there were some members of the jury who were absolutely like, no, we can't put him to death. And then the other 7 were like, this guy's an asshole, so let's put him to death. And then after another round of deliberation, it ended up becoming 6-6. So they pulled one person to the no death penalty side. It ended up being deadlocked, so they ended in a mistrial. And then what happens when a mistrial occurs?
When a mistrial does?
What happens when a mistrial occurs?
A mistrial
Oh my God.
usually results in a new trial. They probably just redid the penalty.
They redid the penalty phase. He ended up getting life in prison. Both of these guys are in prison for life. Don't know where they're staying, but it's probably somewhere in Southern California, so screw you both. But hey, that's my true crime story, and I promise to not tell a true crime story on this podcast that poorly again. If I tell a true crime podcast...
I don't think we'll ever be telling stories like these again. I think we might have scared away our normal listeners.
Stick to what
But
you
let
know.
me bring it back to the funny.
Yeah, let's go back to funny.
I'm going to bring it back to
late,
the funny.
And I
feel
terrible for that execution.
Instead of reading your expert opinions that aren't funny...
Mine are funny.
No, they're not.
I have some that are good.
No, they're not. I read all of these and I hated them all. Mine are hilarious. Do you want to just read half of mine?
Fine.
They're so funny. We can each do a YouTube one and then we can each do a Common Sense Media one.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Okay. So turns out, guys, and this is why I'm giving Austin shit for his expert opinions. Turns out people on Quora are really annoying when they're asked if they believe in ghost spirits and paranormal phenomena. So I skipped Quora for this one because it sucked.
Oh, well, I asked people what they thought about serial killers and why we find them fascinating.
Boring. Okay. There is plenty of other content out there with respect to this. So we're going to take a dive into the world of YouTube.
Okay.
Because comments on YouTube videos are hilarious. So my first one is from the infographics show, New Evidence That Proves Ghosts Are Real. And
Spicy.
at Fishing for Tuna says, if they in my house, they better do the dishes. You ain't living here for free.
No squatters allowed, even if you're a ghost.
Right.
User at 999visible comments on this same video saying, my crush ghosts me all the time. That's the only proof I need.
Tragic.
Ghosts are real because you can't get a date.
Remember when I tried to ghost you like 80 times?
It never worked.
I guess ghosts aren't real then.
And then we started a podcast.
At Voodoo2130 says, when I was alive, I used to be afraid of ghosts. But now, not so much.
Oh, that's cute. A ghost that can use a typewriter, a keyboard.
Hey, good luck on this next one.
This comes from user Avuvwevwevwe. Onye tenyevwi. Ugwi mhwem osas.
That was, I find his ignorance charming.
That's
please.
right.
That was a hard one.
That was flawless. They say, my roommates get freaked out whenever I do my daily chores and said the house was haunted. I don't know, man. I've been in this house for 254 years and I never saw anything. I do appreciate that all these people are making the joke that they are the ghost. Or maybe they really are the ghost. And it's no joke, guys. It's no joke.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So this next YouTube is Ghosts. Is it real? First of all, poor grammar. Thank you, Nat Geo.
That's a National Geographic.
That being said, it is a Nat Geo literal fucking documentary situation. So
rough.
I clicked on this video hoping it would give me some sort of proof because I was like, oh, Nat Geo knows. No, they fucking don't. So, I mean, you guys should watch it and decide for yourselves, but I've got the comments. And at Zendaya Ross says, I just want a yes or no answer, not a full documentary.
Sometimes you don't get answers quick.
Mood though, Zendaya. Fucking mood.
If that was how news worked, that'd be great. But it's not.
Next comment.
Next comment comes from Red Diamond RBLX. He says, possessed person, floats in air, scientists. This is a simple case of mental illness. Explain it away, scientists. Sure.
Okay.
Next thing you're going to tell me there were ropes suspending them in the air. Sorry, go ahead.
At Jamil Aruna says, all right, I'm not going to say anything bad, but bringing God into this convo period is wrong period. You know God good damn well that everyone in YTube gonna start arguing. Never do that again. Causes too much conflict.
Was that in response to a religious post?
It was something...
Or
no,
comment?
It was in the video. It was like something along the lines of if you invite God into your home.
I've always stood by the philosophy that the more God and Jesus that's in your home, the more demons that are there too.
But also, the darker your soul is, the more demons there are. No matter what, can't get away from the demons.
No.
This
they're
next comment.
Strong. The demons are strong.
This next comment comes from Nimesh Mishra.
Okay.
They say, everyone asks, what are you, ghosts? But nobody asks, how are you, ghosts?
That's so woke, Nimesh.
Yeah.
And the last comment from this video comes from Batman himself, at Bruce Wayne, saying, I am Ghost.
Like, I am Batman, but...
Hell yeah, I get it.
I'm Batman.
That's a good one, Bruce Wayne. Martha.
Okay, this next video I watched for pure comedy, and it did not disappoint. It was the funniest thing I've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It is ghost hunting with James Corden and Reggie Watts. Long story short, James Corden has Zach Baggins, my BFF, and his friends come to the CBS television city lot to see if there are ghosts, and they make fun of Drew Carey a lot, but let me shorten it up for you guys. There's a ghost named Pat, or Patricia, she's a girl, who watches James's show, and it makes her laugh. She also told James that eating Chipotle was a mistake and that he was a jerk for making a bad joke. Also, someone asked Pat if she could guess James's name, and Pat responded Jim, so she actually knows.
Oh.
Anyway, I have comments from the video. First
Pat's
one is
the
from...
homie ghost.
Yeah, she was hilarious.
Nice.
She gave him a lot of shit, and it was funny. And she even sarcastically laughed at him at one point.
I want a ghost friend like Pat.
So at Nico Oy says, if James can make a ghost laugh, he's made it in comedy.
Nice.
Also, at the end of the video, Zach Baggins literally says, something came in, communicated with us, called you a jerk, then left. And at Colin Dawes says, story of my life.
Yo, Colin, you're a jerk. Bye.
And at one point, James asks if the equipment Baggins brings can detect if he's been dead inside for years, to which about 30 people replied, mood.
I feel you, boy.
And at Smoke Lean, in response to the whole video, because James Corden goes in the beginning and just like cracking jokes left and right.
As he do.
At Smoke Lean says, it's hilarious that he went in clowning and then he nearly shat himself when there was actual activity.
Clowning?
He was making jokes.
Got it. It's a slang term. I get it. I'm with it. Can I do two of my Cora? Please. Kristen.
Well, they're so boring.
No. I feel like I'm going to try to like fight for this, but I have a funny one. In my Cora research, I found a question with respect to serial killers. And the question was, I'm in love with Ted Bundy. Is that wrong?
Yes.
And Kathleen Grace says, in February 2017, yes, that's wrong. And he's long dead, so there's not much to love. And then we have another one coming from Adolf Razzi, whose credentials are knows Italian.
What does that have to do with Ted Bundy?
They answered on January 29th, you son of BTK of Scampia, you have to stop to love Ted Bundy. He's my husband and he got AIDS, HIV, asbestos, measles, and he's a child molester. He's crazy, but I can heal him. I'm his guardian angel. I am the one who can love him. Shut up, damn.
Adolf, did you say that into like voice command? Like,
I don't even think that, I don't think
text.
voice command could make sense of that.
That was rough.
But Adolf is jealous.
Adolf.
That anybody else is or suggesting that they could love Ted Bundy. And one final person, Sophie Sayed, Sayed?
I think Syed.
Syed answered a similar Quora article
Totes.
that was asking a different question, but it was, I am an 18-year-old female and I am really attracted to Ted Bundy. Is this normal? And Sophie Sayed, accredited with I'm Asian, y'all, answered April 22nd, 2017. Boy, he ugly. And that's all they had to say.
Well, then I guess the answer to your question is no, that's not normal.
Nope, not normal.
Okay. Fine. Back to me.
Thank you.
Back to me. I went back to Common Sense Media because last week was just too good. So I found some reviews of Ghostbusters, the 80s version, because I'm cultured. Okay?
Fucking rad.
So this first review is from @HikeForDiamonds. They rate this movie age 16 plus and give it 3 stars. The title of this review is Not PG in Today's Rating System.
It's different.
They say, I am mortified that I let my kids watch this. I am usually very conservative compared to my kids' friends' parents, but my friend, who is also typically conservative, had let her kids watch it, and I didn't do my homework. In fairness, Common Sense Media did address the sexual scenes, which are completely unacceptable, but somehow I missed that. The language is horrible. Everything but the F word, and the excessive smoking. Bill Murray is a complete womanizer. Ugh. This would definitely be rated at least PG-13 today, for older teens only. Ugh.
Ugh.
From PG to PG-13, like that makes barely any difference in my brain.
This is a classic case of a parent who is really trying to shelter their kids a little bit too much.
Can we address her username? Hike for Diamonds?
What about it?
It seems that she pimps herself out for diamonds by going on hikes, which is literally what I did almost a year ago, is it not?
Uh-huh.
All right, this next one.
I mean, it was like a middle rating, 3 stars.
Yeah, this next one comes from @CC Guardian.
Okay.
He rates it age 18 plus and gives it 1 star. The title of this review is Not Family Appropriate.
Oh, come on.
They say, a demon-possessed woman is begging to have one of the Ghostbusters inside her, and you think this is a good family movie?
Hilarious.
What is wrong with you guys? For this alone, I would never let my kids watch it. Would Sigourney Weaver let her kids watch the movie? I doubt it. Unless she is completely depraved, she would be totally embarrassed. The reason Jodie Foster made the movie Nim's Island is so that her kids could watch a movie that she was in. She wouldn't let them watch her other movies. Even she has better standards for her kids, and she grew up in Hollywood, where anything goes. I paused a lot because there are a lot of commas.
Yeah. One, Jodie Foster and Sigourney Weaver aren't the same person, so you can probably expect them to behave differently with respect to what they allow their kids to watch.
Yeah, why are you trying to tell them how to parent? Mm-hmm. Also, their kids are going to see it no matter what. That's the nature of being famous.
Mm-hmm.
Get over yourself.
And also, a little fun innuendo. Like, Ghostbusters is amazing. Objectively.
Amazing? It's a good movie.
It's a cult classic.
Figures you would like something that's a cult classic.
It's fun. Oh, yeah, cult. Of course. But the fact that there's, like, silly adult humor, that occurs in all kinds of family movies. Whether you could talk about, like, Toy Story has a lot of adult humor that goes over kids' heads a lot. And I can guarantee you, when I first watched Ghostbusters,
you can't explain away
it ever.
The whole, like, most of the reviews on Common Sense Media from the parents were the concern over, like, the whole, like, ghost oral sex thing.
Yeah. But it's like
you can't explain that away to a child, so super inappropriate. Don't let your kids watch it. Okay, so I didn't think that I could pull this next one off, but it was up there. Common Sense Media has reviews of The Conjuring.
Oh.
Enjoy. I found these ones to be the most obscure, so here we fucking
So they're little
go.
kids watching The Conjuring?
The first couple are from parents.
Okay.
This first one comes from Marie. She rates it age 12 plus, which is absurd, and gives it 5 stars. This review is called Expertly Crafted, Suspenseful, Well Acted, and Well Worth the Cost of a Ticket for Tweens and Up.
All right.
The R rating on this film was a ridiculous decision. I brought my 14 and 15-year-old to see it. They loved it so much, we went back to see it again. My kids love horror movies, and it is rare that a quality suspense/horror film is made that teens can see that is not offensive. The fact that this movie is based on a true story makes it all the more interesting. I researched the story along with my kids after we saw it, and it turned into a bit of a history lesson. There's information about the era of witchcraft accusations related to the story, and also the practice of exorcism, which is a fascinating part of history and continues today. This movie is well acted, and it is the subtlety of the script and editing that keeps the audience on its toes, cowering in fear in many, many scenes. The family and ghost hunting team are also very likable. There is no fall guy or scapegoat in this story. You root for everyone. Obviously, if your tween or teen is prone to nightmares, have common sense and do not bring them. If they cannot tolerate haunted houses at Halloween or other scary movie, this is not for them. It is a real shame that there is finally a scary movie that does not rely on sex, bad language, and excessive gore for cheap thrills, and it is rated R. I recommend it ages 12 and up depending on scare tolerance.
I thought you were broken recording for a second, but it actually says that there. I think it's interesting how we have the parents above who seem very, very... They want to shelter their kids. They want to keep it conservative. And then we got this mom who's keeping it fast and loose. And
she's bringing her 12-year-old to see The Conjuring. And let me tell you, that movie scared the shit out of me. So.
Yeah, hard pass on that one. I didn't see The Conjuring 2 until I was like maybe 23, 22.
I watched the first Conjuring in college, and we were watching it with the window open. And at like the part where, I don't think you've seen it, but the witch or the spirit is like on top of this wardrobe, and she like jumps on one of the little girls, and like at that moment is a big jump scare moment. Someone jumped in through the window and like was screaming and like just ran out the door, and it scarred me for
good God
quite a while.
So yeah, bring your 12-year-olds. All
right, this next one comes from Boo Boo Fibers 22. They're an adult, so keep that in mind. They rate this age 14 plus and give it 4 stars. This is titled, I Have Some Opinions. They say, so I watched it. It was okay. Kind of scary, so I recommend your kid have some maturity. Kind of pee my pants when that demon was doing some stuff. IDK, kind of scary. YK, IJ, feel that you should be prepared. Watch at your own risk. Smiley face. XOXO, Boo Boo Fingers 22.
Oh my God. Why? What is with you in finding these reviews of people who have peed or pooped their pants?
This is an adult. That's the difference.
That's true.
XOXO, Boo Boo Fingers. Fiber.
Boo Boo Fingers.
XOXO.
What does it mean if you got boo boo fingers?
That Harold the doll attacked your hands
no,
for being
don't
skeptical.
do that.
Maybe you shouldn't be skeptical.
I'm not. Okay. I'll never question anything you do ever again. That's not a promise I can keep.
Okay.
Ooh, this one's from a kid. Can I read it?
Yeah, sure.
At kid. For what movie we're talking about? The Conjuring. They rate it age 14 plus, 3 stars. Titled, Overrated Demon Possession Flick Too Scary for the Faint of Heart. And they say, this James Wan flick, like Insidious, has several jump scares and creepy images, but there is limited amount of blood, sex, drugs, or language like so many other films in this genre. There is scary, jumpy, and loud scenes with young girls in frequent danger, along with some non-graphic flashbacks and visions of dead children, plus a hanging girl in a tree. Very eerie stuff. There's quite a disturbing demonic possession sequence, especially ramped up with screaming, children in peril, and some minimal blood. There is a disturbing doll named Annabelle, which in one scene seems to attack a young girl that is alone in a room, locked from the inside and outside. Rare sexual references like Do It Again and christening their new home.
Oh, you picked up on that, did you?
Yeah.
You're 11.
Props for an 11-year-old. What are your parents teaching you? Goddamn and hell. The paranormal investigators obviously want the best for the Lamberts, and there is a message about love and how someone would be left behind.
What?
So yeah, there's your synopsis for The Conjuring from an 11-year-old. You're welcome.
Oh, honey. All right. This one's from a teen, 16 years old. They rate this age 15 plus and give it 5 stars.
Dope.
This is titled Extremely Scary and Fun Horror Movie. People aren't kidding when they say this movie is scary. I love watching scary movies. Note, scary, not gory. And this one is definitely the scariest I have seen so far. This is not a campy horror movie. The tone is serious and dark from the beginning to end, and the scare's intense atmosphere are unrelenting. While due to... oh, sorry, they used the wrong due. While due to some serious subject matter, this definitely isn't appropriate for young teens. Mature teens should be able to enjoy this movie. The R rating is pretty ridiculous. No sex, only a couple of swear words, and a few drops of blood. Okay, that's fucking false. Someone's face literally gets cut open. Okay, whatever.
No big deal. Just a few drops.
Or his ear comes off or something. No, his cheek gets ripped off.
I wouldn't know. Haven't seen it.
Just a few drops. I've seen PG-13 movies that were so much worse. What movie?
I don't know.
In fact, usually my dad wouldn't let me touch an R-rated movie with a 10-foot pole, but he let me see this with him after I showed him there isn't much to be concerned about. How? Without having seen it already. Whatever. We left the theater with him saying that there's no reason at all to rate it R.
Well, talking about campy horror movies, some of the best horror movies are campy as fuck. Think Evil Dead. The original Evil Dead from 1981 is also cult classic. Cult. But I know you haven't seen that. But the original Evil Dead.
But you ruined it for me with a musical about it.
Mm-hmm. Go look it up, you guys. There's an Evil Dead the musical, and it's great.
I highly recommend you don't look it up.
As bananas as, if not even more so, than the actual film. All right.
Thanks for ruining it for me.
So sorry.
Okay.
Can I do this one?
You can.
Yay! I'll do another one from a kid, 11 years old, age 10 plus. They give
rate
The Conjuring.
It age 10 plus.
Oh, sorry. They rated it age 10 plus, 4 stars for The Conjuring, and they titled it, all caps, "Watch out for nightmares." I am a horror movie enthusiast, and I find this movie quite scary, and it is okay to watch for any mature 10-year-old. If you or your child can get scared easily or has nightmares, this not for a person like that. It was quite realistic, and I had a fright, but I would not recommend this movie to anybody under age 10. It would be too hard to handle and may have nightmares. I hope that you enjoy the movie.
What 11-year-old is a horror movie enthusiast?
Maybe someone who grows up to be a serial killer.
I don't think that's true. I accidentally watched The Shining when I was like 10. I had nightmares.
Well, you were not an enthusiast then.
No, because all I saw was him chasing his own child through a maze. And I was like, what's going to happen when he catches the kid?
You know what's kind of sad?
No.
I only saw The Conjuring for the first time a couple years ago.
Conjuring 2.
Oh, sorry, not The Conjuring, The Shining.
Yeah, that is sad.
Yeah.
And yet you watch stuff like The Evil Dead, the musical thing?
Fuck yes.
There's something wrong with you. This last one comes from a teen.
Bring it home.
14 years old. They rate this movie age 11 plus and give it 4 stars. The title of this review is Watched It at 11. I watched this movie at 11 and I was fine.
I'm convinced.
Sure.
Well, where's your 5th star then?
Apparently it was just fine. It wasn't good. It was fine.
Oh, okay.
Well,
there we are, guys.
I hope you enjoyed 3 hours of this shit.
Between true crime and paranormal?
Paranormal, because you actually got scared.
Yeah, I was terrified.
I wasn't scared by your true crime, sorry.
No, and that's fine. I personally generally like the true crime genre better, but something about horror stories and letting go of that skepticism
Austin won't play Ouija
is
board with
very
me, though.
fun. Oh my God. When we were at the Long Beach Vintage Market place and there was a Ouija board for sale, I was like, no, can't, not down. because Kristen asked, and my immediate response was like, no thanks. But
Because he's a little scaredy baby.
I'm a little scaredy baby. There's just something. Dogs barking outside? Really? Come on, guys. Can't you tell we're in the finished stretch of our podcast?
That usually means someone's about to knock on my door.
That they're barking down below? Well, that's disturbing.
That's how I know you're coming, because they usually start barking.
Oh, maybe.
Or like that I get a package, or that my Postmates is here.
Let's assume it was one of your neighbors.
Or it's Harold.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Don't say that.
All right, that's the debate, everybody. But if there's anything you think we missed, you can email us your thoughts, updates, and additional debate points to CoPOPod@gmail.com. I am not spelling it for you because you should know by now. Just put Court of Appeals in the subject line.
Or you can send us future argument suggestions by putting debate about it in the subject line.
What are we arguing next week?
Next week, we are embracing our inner basic bitches, and we are bringing to you, which is the superior basic bitch juice? Red wine or white wine?
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to the Court of Public Opinion, a Loaded Dice production. If you like the podcast, please go into Apple or Google Podcasts, leave us 5 stars, and write a quick review as well. That will help grow the podcast and get more people arguing these same silly debate topics in their own homes, destroying relationships one at a time.
Seriously, guys, go take the 30 seconds. Write a review. Thank you. And if you'd like to hear more of me,
You don't.
I star in another Loaded Dice Productions podcast, D&Derailed, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign set in the modern world. It has a kick-ass soundtrack, which is also produced by our sound producer, AJ Curtin. And there are some fine feathered friends. And our DM, Jordan Alfaro, is a fantastic storyteller. So if you're interested in Dungeons & Dragons or storytelling or any of all that business, go look up D&Derailed, the Griffon City Chronicles, wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's Griffin with an O-N. You're welcome. I remembered for you.
Thank you.
You can follow the Court of Public Opinion on Instagram at CoPOPod. That's CoPOPod. And you can follow our adventure and travel Instagram at doubledown_adventures, where you can see us going on hikes, camping trips, etc. We are going camping this weekend, so you get a lot of that content.
We are currently in Lake Arrowhead, sitting under the stars.
Stop telling people where we are.
Yeah, well, come visit if you want.
Oh, man. Please don't. I don't want to see anybody. It's COVID. Stay home. Stay away from me at all times. If you love the show and would like to support the court or join the jury, you can do so at patreon.com/CoPOPod.
For $1 a month, you'll join the Peanut Gallery Plus, which is for those of you who want to just pitch in a little bit. That still means so much to us. And a $5 a month donation will make you a Court of Public Opinion jury member, and you'll get access to early releases of episodes on Fridays. You'll get bloopers, and you'll get other bonus content and a shout out on the show.
Heck yeah. Shout out right now to our current jury member, the one,
the only,
the Frankie Kerstetter.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Frankie.
Yeah.
For donating every month. And finally, we would like to give a special thanks to Nathen Ruiz for
designing the Court of Public Opinion podcast logo.
AJ Curtin for
writing, recording, and producing our theme music.
And Gerard Marquez for
being the voice of our Bailiff number 1 at the beginning of every episode.
And
remember,
Molly.
Bailiff number 2 is Molly.
And a cute little witch and the 4th Sanderson sister.
At Molly the Aussie Dog on Instagram for all of her Halloween costumes.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty, guys. Catch you next week, next Saturday for the great wine debate. Have an awesome week, Peanuts. Court
is adjourned.